Generation to come will not remember me for the kind of car I was driving, for the amount of money I had, but for the good I did for this country. That is what I'm calling for everybody, requesting and asking and directing every police officer to do. Let's serve our country. Let's ensure our country is safe and secure.
The IG further said they are working with the EACC to arrest corrupt officers.
Hiyo pusi ingine ya nini haitakupeleka popote, ni shida tu, utafungwa, utashikwa na EACC. EACC wakati unashika wewe iko makamera hapa. Sasa unaanza kuweka inaitwa nini? Face mask ujifunike, unaanza kuweka goggles. Ni kwa sababu unajua umefanya makosa, ni aibu. Familia yako inakuona ati ulichukua shilingi 2,000. It's embarrassing. It is ugly.
The government has launched a food relief program in Wajir County targeting victims of El Nino rain. Secretary to the Cabinet, Mercy Wanjao, said a total of 11 trucks loaded with bags of beans, maize and rice have flagged off. These as Lamu and Garissa counties have continued to call on the government to assist flood victims. Now, nominated Member of Parliament Sabina Chege has said Azmir coalition would have formed a government if she had been chosen as the presidential running mate of the outfit. Sabina also claimed that it was difficult to campaign for Raila Odinga in Mount Kenya.
And so I will continue. I did not vie because I wanted to fight for the party. Despite us being called names, being told to go sell Baba, which was very difficult. You saw me in the entire country. At some point, I was actually named among the deputy president, and I wish they gave me, would have won.
The legislator said that she will continue fighting for Jubilee despite intimidation and court cases.
I will continue fighting because I stood for the party then, and we stood for our former party leader because he was our leader, and we stood with him so that he was not left alone. And for that love, I will continue defending Jubilee Party. That is why I will not allow Jubilee Party to die. That is why we will transverse this country selling Jubilee Party, and we don't want the other busybodies coming to spoil a good party. They said it was dead when we started standing for Jubilee. Now they have interest coming in because they want to earn from it. For us, we have sacrificed our everything for this party.
Businesswoman Nancy Kigunzu, widely known as Madhe Wangara, has been freed on a 1 million shillings cash bail in the ongoing drug trafficking case leveled against her. However, Kigunzu has been ordered to surrender her passport to the court. Madhe Wangara has been in police cell since her arrest on August 21st in connection with large quantities of bang and 13.4 million shillings in cash that was seized in Ngara, Nairobi. And a magistrate has written to Mumias East MP Peter Kalerwa Salasia demanding that he deletes threatening and defamatory materials he posted against her before they discuss the amount he should pay for defaming her. Kakamega resident Magistrate Gladys Wambui Kiama says that the MP took to social media to threaten and ruin her reputation after she gave a decision deemed unfavorable by Salasia. Across the borders, and Premier Li Qiang and Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin stressed their shared commitment to enhancing the internal dynamics of bilateral relations and building up trade and agriculture cooperation. The two leaders jointly presided over the 28th regular meeting between Chinese and Russian heads of government in Beijing. They pledged joint efforts to uphold the energy security of both nations, bolster connectivity, and strengthen people-to-people exchanges and cooperation at subnational level. Both leaders also agreed during the annual meeting, the first of which was held in 1996, to guarantee the security and stability of industrial and supply chains. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Asato. Good morning and happy holidays.
SpiceFM Nyeri.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Congratulations. You've seen the hand of the Lord. Thank you very much. I've earned another title today, this morning at SpiceFM. Mama Justice, I don't mind it.
Joel in Kericho.
Salama sana Heri, habari ya asubuhi.
Salama bwana, mambo namna gani?
Salama kabisa bro.
Mambo ya Aina Moi kuliendaje?
Mambo ya Aina Moi, vile nilikwambia ndugu yangu, alienda asubuhi na ile gari ya kwanza.
I must have missed it.
So did I.
Even if somebody was to render you irrelevant, there is still work you can do. Okay, sawa. I deserve
to keep you accountable. You deserve to give me a report. You don't work for me. No, I don't work for you. You work for me.
Do you like that Freudian slip? Lovely, isn't it? Thank you very much.
The Situation Room, Kenya's big.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. And hii mambo utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today, very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
Hapo. You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, hawa watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
The man who looks at a beautiful girl and doesn't talk to her will end up serving lunch at her wedding.
Aya, City, do you like that? My father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man?
Ameua panya.
Small mammal, big mammal.
Mtu atamshinda.
What are they saying? How are we comparison? I mean, you kill a mouse.
What are they saying?
What they're saying is, my father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man? Name, surprise. Someone's name.
The name surprised you?
No, the name is surprise.
No, what am I saying? I'm from Nigeria, man. I met somebody called I Believe. So I was like, your name is I Believe? Yes, my name is I Believe. But that's the short form. I said, excuse me? I said, yes, my name is I Believe. So what's the full name? I believe in the goodness of
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
You tune into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanya.
Amen. Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It gets over.
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes.
What the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself.
When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, oh, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Or should you have a lioness living in your bedroom? I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to, she's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, because if it was a man, but this was a lady.
It will be called First Ladies until you change the name.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Revenge is for children. It's for kids. When you grow up, you realize the best revenge you can take on somebody is to ignore them.
Now, I'm just new in politics. It is not everybody's cup of tea. That's why some people come in one term and that's it for them.
Political parties in this country do not have ideologies, whether luring or otherwise.
And that is the effect of corruption.
Any time an offense occurs anywhere in the country, it is the job of the Inspector General to look into it.
whether it's corruption, whether it's murder, whether it's petty. That is his job.
If we have chosen to be a corrupt nation, then we produce corrupt leaders. Everything then becomes chaotic that you cannot be able to change.
Looking into Thursday and what to expect as we look onto the streets this morning. All right, where are we? We're looking at actually nothing, not much going on. There it is. Also, that movement on Haile Selassie this morning, in and outbound traffic going towards the Kamkunji roundabout and then heading out then towards Gong Road. Everywhere else seems to be picking up, not too much of an issue. That means folks are flowing along and getting where they're going without too much of a hold up. We're going to keep an eye on things. Thursday morning doesn't look like it's going to have much of an issue with traffic today getting into the holiday weekend. So we're going to have a look at that later on. But we started Thursday morning off right. Let's see how we can keep it just that way. And in the meantime, let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X. Thank you. Did I drop it?
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up,
21st
not
of
down.
December, 12 minutes after 6
This is The Situation Room,
Thursday.
the only way to start your day.
Even closer. Good morning and welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Here we are today, The Situation Room. Everybody's spirits bright. Eric cannot find a chair, or does he want this one that I'm sitting on? You know me, generous in heart. I will give it to you. Do you want my chair? Hello? No? You want my chair?
I don't want to sit.
You don't want to sit, you want to stand. Oh, you'll be standing. No, Allah. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. We can see you guys trickling in one by one. Siti Muga, you are under the table.
Hi.
Oh, hi. How are you?
Very well.
Mm-hmm. Do you have Eric's chair? It could be you.
I think so.
I think you do.
This is your chair. This chair is a bit high.
Come on, swap musical chairs. Let's do it. This should be fun. Okay, gentlemen. Moving on swiftly.
Goody.
Well done. We'll get this done eventually. That's for sure. Better?
Best.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so very interesting conversations lined up today. We'll have a look at those in just a minute. But as we're getting into the morning, voila, good morning and welcome. Eric, good morning. Good morning.
Okay.
Okay, so take it, leave it. You know, I've offered them up. My salutations, greetings, warmth, all those.
See, I've responded.
Ni sawa?
Okay. How are you?
Me, myself.
Yes.
I'm fine, thank you.
Wewe mwenyewe binafsi kwa upande wako.
Niko salama kabisa.
Ama una maoni?
Niko salama. Niko salama.
Una maoni kabisa?
Niko poa.
Very good. Very good. Siti, how are you?
I am very well, thank you.
Hey.
Yes.
It's Thursday.
It is.
Thursday is Thursdaying already.
The Thursday of the Friday.
Where? Today is the second last day of the Situation Room live for this year. Tomorrow will be the last day, and then we take a break for 2 weeks until the 8th of January next year. Next year. But don't worry, in those 2 weeks, what we'll be doing is we'll be running reruns of the biggest conversations, and we're calling it the audience selection. So we've been asking you, tell us, which conversation would you like us to replay? in those 2 weeks, Christmas week and New Year's week, because sisi hapa mtatuona.
Some good suggestions have come in
already, sindio?
A lot of people
For
have said
example,
what they would like to hear. Definitely Control of Budget's first interview with us. Of course, Jimmy Wanjigi's interviews. Abdullahi Nasir's interviews have come in. Danson Omari, Jiro Degwa. Interestingly enough, I saw one asking for the conversation on the circumcision conversation we had and about raising up young boys. Yeah.
Someone asking for PLO.
Yeah, PLO as well. Yeah.
Even yesterday's conversation with Canon Sami Wainaina.
Yes, that one was back.
As well. So, Edna, tuko na mingi. All of them, and we'll put them there. Put all of them there. How many are we looking at? We're looking at 10.
Yeah.
10 conversation. No, 10 days.
10 days of
times
conversation.
4. 40 conversations.
Shuni mzuri.
Yeah, mzuri bana. Pambaya. Yeah. Yeah, just in case you're wondering, we have 3 conversations every day. 3 times 5 is 15 per week.
Yeah.
15 times 4 is 60 per month. 60 times 12 is
720.
Those are the number of conversations that we have
Every
in a
year.
year.
Yeah.
Okay, so 40 is like a representative sample. Panambaya. So now, let me tell you what we shall be having today. The Competition Authority received some complaints from Pwani Oil and what was the other company? The honey people from Kitui. And this was against Carrefour. And they slapped Carrefour with a 1.1 billion shilling fine. And there's been an issue. The Retail Trade Association of Kenya has responded and reacted to that. We have invited a director and lead of the supermarket sector at Retail Trade Association of Kenya, Willie Kimani, to come and tell us, he's an experienced supermarketer. Right? So he will be here, and he will be sitting across Dr. Priscilla Njako, who is the manager for buyer power at the Competition Authority of Kenya. This is her department that slapped that 1.1 billion shilling fine to Carrefour. So those two will be joining us at 7 a.m. to unpack what is this buyer power story and how does it work. And the retrack is arguing from the angle of when there's a contract that's been signed, surely to what extent should the Competition Authority respect the sanctity of contracts? We'll have that conversation in the next hour. Alfred Ombudo Kombudo is the Principal Secretary in the State Department for Trade in the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry. Or is it the other way around? Is it Industry, Trade and Investment,
or is it
Investment, Trade and Industry? Anyway, it's MITI. It is that ministry. It has 3 state departments. This is the State Department for Trade is the one that was responsible for the bilateral talks that ended up with the Kenya and European Union Economic Partnership Agreement being signed. Kombudo, the PS, will be here to explain to us this one. And first of all, he'll tell us, so why is Kenya going all alone to sign this pact with the European Union and not pushing for the East African community to sign a pact with the European Union? Sawa. Hiyo inakuja. Live streaming is up.
Yes, it is.
Of course it is.
We
People
are
are
there.
online. Of course they are. So let's take a break. You tell us about
Whether?
Yeah. Amma, do you want to do that at 12:30?
Yeah, let's do that at 12:30 combined.
Combined. Combined.
Amma.
No, just do it now. Just do it now. It's okay. Okay? So that after this, you tell us who is online, say hello to them, and then we'll hear the proverb from Kenya.
Okay.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Cloudy conditions this morning in Nairobi, highs of 25 and lows of 16. We'll see lows of 14 in a partly cloudy Nakuru, going to highs of 26. And the lows in Nyeri this morning through the day will be 14 with highs of 25. It's clear in Eldoret for now, highs of 25 and lows of 12. Looking into Mombasa, partly cloudy conditions and we'll see highs of 32 and lows of 26. While in Malindi, we will see highs of 32 and lows of 26 with partly cloudy conditions. In Kisumu, partly cloudy, highs of 29 and lows of 20, while Kakamega will see highs of 30 and lows of 17 with clear skies. Kampala will see highs of 29 and lows of 20 with cloudy conditions through Thursday. And Dar es Salaam, partly cloudy, will see highs of 32 and lows of 27. Johannesburg will see highs of 31 and lows of 18 with partly cloudy conditions. And into Mogadishu, it'll be mostly sunny with highs of 32 and lows of 26. Clear skies in Addis Ababa with highs of 24 and lows of 12. Lagos, hazy skies with highs of 33 and lows of 24. Mostly cloudy conditions into Kinshasa with highs of 29 and lows of 24. Thursday afternoon is quite glib in Beijing. We'll see highs of -5 and lows of -15. Cloudy conditions in Paris with highs of 12 and lows of 10. While it's cloudy in London, we'll see highs of 14 and lows of 10. It's partly cloudy in New York. Wednesday night, we'll see highs of 9 and lows of 1.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Don Sabo says, good morning. When do you wake up, Don? He says, Merry Xmas, CT, Ndu, Eric and Edna. We need Reverend Sammy Wainaina a while away. Okay. And in Malawi, while you were away, we say, Pamene inu munali kutali.
Pamene inu munali kutali.
Yes.
While you were away.
That means while. That is also.
You know, Don makes these things.
Yes, he does. Don the lexicon. He says the judge is still looking at the 17 billion oil saga. It's not yet done. All right. Ndu, please talk to your people about ile pesa ya KQ. Don't worry.
Pesa gani hiyo?
Ile ya KQ ile.
Uko na pesa yako? Oh, ile ya Nigeria?
Yeah.
Bwana, you're the one who's bankrupting our company.
We'll do something about it. Don't worry.
That's done.
No, that's somebody else. A guy who goes by one initial, R.
Okay.
Carol Nyambura, guess what? Anafanya nini? Anawapenda sana. Hi, Eric Ndu CT. Have you seen the city of Mukuru Kayaba, Kwanjenga, the highways? Is it a city?
It's London, bwana.
It's London. London. Eshfan Gikonyo, hi guys. Okay, yes. Polycarp Omondi says, good morning, good people. Great start to my day already. Mashari and Jeru says, good morning, Spice team. Wishing you a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from Portland in Oregon. Good morning, my people. Edna, Ndu, Oko. Ndu, Oko. 1 O, then a K, then another 1 O and an H. CET.
Yes?
It's actually C, the letter, and then T.
America.
City.
Oh.
And Eric, Merry Christmas and all the best, and please pin these people down until they have a clear response. Okay, Rogers Nyange says, good morning, Spice Fraternity, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, watching from Voi. Good morning to you. David Weed says, good morning, we will miss the trio and Edna, we will be back, do not worry, like we never left. All the way from New Delhi, Ndu the artist, good morning. Artist? Umesikia?
Artist.
Ile artist ile. Sile ya nini?
Na hujatuimbia wimbo ya leo. Today is the 10th.
It is. Takuimbia usijali.
The 10th. Okay.
It can't be.
What?
They end on?
12th. Christmas. We said we were going to do a rush job because we are leaving on Friday.
Okay, but when do the days end? On the 24th or 25th?
10, 11, 12. It should be 25th. What happened? We started early, Abby. You don't worry, just appreciate the lords and the ladies.
So today you're singing the 9th and the 10th day. Tomorrow you're singing the 11th and the 12th.
Yes, sir.
Sawa.
No, I sang the 9th yesterday. Yes, no.
Okay. If you say so. Tuendelee.
Alex Mnai says, good morning. Edna Pewe Salamu kwa wengi. That's Jeffrey Mogaka. Kwa wengi. Dr. Venvic says, good morning. Tuned in from Chuda. It's the first time I went to Mombasa. I was wondering, what are they saying? Chuda. Chuda. What is that? That is Tudor. Two-door. Good morning. Thanks, as always. Undu, when are you going to release your music album? Don't worry. Don't worry. We're cooking. I'm looking for a producer. Okay. Good morning. Eric reminds me of the good old days when we all knew he Kikombe or that corner near Baba. Now that Siti was sitting on Eric's chair. Siti mpe kiti chake.
Mimi ndo nilikuwa nimekalia kiti ya mzee.
Dennis Kiptor Samoe says, good morning, Spice, Emerald, Queensland, Australia, tuned in as usual, the best room to analyze situations. Thanks for tuning in every morning. I wanted to say Ada Victoria Nyambok. Can I call you Ada? Because that your first name is a very Igbo name, without the H, of course. And Ada means first. In Igbo, any first daughter is called Ada. Are you a first daughter, Victoria? Tell us. Mohammed Said says affordable housing.
She's not.
She's not, eh? She's not.
No, she's not.
Unamjua?
Yes.
Ah, okay. So is the name Ada or Ada? You don't know.
We call her Edda.
Oh, Edda.
Whether
it's A-E
I.
I, it can be I. See. Okay, so I was totally off. Well, anyway. Patrick Muga says, still on Wednesday, guys. You're still on Wednesday. Yes, where you are, it's still Wednesday. Momanyi says, it's Momanyi says, good morning to you. Eric Sitindu, listening to you guys. James Omosa is here. Nicholas and Giles also tuned in. Polycarp Monday is here as well. Good morning, everybody. It's been a fantastic year of you guys tuning in every morning at this time. We don't take it for granted. Santi Sana.
Zana. Buanamuga.
Yes.
The country of?
Kenya. You know the country of Kenya? You know, I decided that we cannot end the week in which we are
without
enjoying, the proverbs from Kenya without one or two proverbs in the language of Kiswahili.
Okay.
Yes. Makali ya jicho yashinda wembe.
Makali ya jicho yashinda wembe.
Directly translated, the sharpness of the eye is greater than the razor.
Bombastic side eye.
You know, the look that goes a squint. Yes, just goes a squint and you purse your lips a little bit and then you flare your nostrils. That look.
That one.
Yeah, that one.
Harsher than a razor.
It's a trending lingo right now in Kenya. Yeah. Bombastic side eye.
Bombastic side eye.
I think as children we understood. Mothers had those looks.
Even as an adult, my mother still has to look, man.
They don't need to tell you, they just need to look at you in a certain way.
But it's fun because she looks at others that way now, not
and you get the message. Yes.
Kamsa.
What a message.
Kamsa. Let's look at the headlines.
All right, on the front page of the Standard this morning, what clash of rivals in 17 billion diesel reveals? 17 billion shilling diesel revealed. My goodness, I watched those proceedings yesterday, as I was telling you earlier. And see, what has been revealed to man is just now hitting you in the face. And Jerry, woman at the center of the fuel import controversy, hard placed to prove that the consignment belongs to her company, as parties including Energy CS Davis Churchill and Galana Oil and KPA bosses clash during a parliamentary team meeting in Nairobi. It was fun to watch, I must say, because they actually did clash and nobody can get their story straight. Jerry doesn't even have a story. I don't even know what was going on here, but it is an absolute mess. And if anybody was being asked to prove what they did or did not do yesterday, if anything, sunk people even deeper into disbelief and controversy. It was... Uhuru's political plan for Mount Kenya draws reactions. It's still doing a thing, Eric, just in case you thought that was dead in the water. When diplomacy becomes...
He's doing tanga-tanga.
He's doing something. He's doing... What's that thing called?
Badala ya wacha serikali ifanye kazi, ameanza kutanga-tanga.
Tanga-tanga. Kimene. When diplomacy becomes alien for Ruto's ministers, PS Korir has an interesting time because he's having to take the broom. He's having to take the diplomatic brush and dustpan and sweep up the messes that are being left by CSs. And he's got a difficult one there. That's what the story is talking about. Koinange, people are still fighting today over his estate of 30 billion shillings. When did this man pass away? And the court has now ordered his kith and kin to share the 30 billion shilling estate. Stop this fighting.
That's very good.
Nonsense.
Uh-huh.
Yakango, governors in row over spending. This is on the front page of The Nation. The story did come out yesterday where she said 10 counties have spent how many shillings on development? 0. So governors are saying, what do you mean? So it has become a what do you mean? Do you know who I am? Kinds of thing. The Council of Governors came yesterday to the defense of some 10 county chiefs that the Controller of Budget, Margaret Nyakango, found had not spent a single shilling on development. But the reasons given by the governors raise more questions.
What are they
than
saying?
Answers.
The council.
The council is saying, how can you? We
developed
evidence.
development.
We developed here. Didn't you see we bought
here
helicopter? What else? Polls open in DRC amid violence. That's one to look at.
Okay.
And the Pope is saying, hold up. We did not approve same-sex unions. That is not what we are saying, because everybody has their knickers in a twist. And he's saying that's not what we said.
It's the bishops who are saying.
Sorry, the bishops are saying that is not what the Pope said. Sawa. The Kenyan bishops are saying he did not approve. And on the back page, Sacco savings cross the 1 trillion mark in a struggling economy. So people are putting away a pretty penny in Saccos.
The Business Daily says the Treasury lends Kenya Airways 16 billion shillings without a repayment plan. The Treasury funded KQ 16.27 billion without a loan agreement or recovery mechanism last year. In a special audit on the Treasury's use of public funds under Article 223 of the Constitution that allows the withdrawal of funds to use for emergency purposes that had not been factored in during a budget formulation, Nancy Gadongo, the Auditor General, faulted the Treasury for releasing the funds without an agreement and without a clear plan on how it will get back the money. Okay. You only talk us 16B. We deal with 16, 17 billion. 16, 17, 16, 17.
Those are nice numbers.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what we play.
Yeah. 473 kilometers Nairobi Mombasa Expressway gets approval. Itakuwa Expressway from Nairobi to Mombasa.
Who has approved it?
See, it has been approved.
The people who approve these things.
They approve us. The planned 473-kilometer Nairobi-Mombasa Expressway has received first-stage approval for construction under a public-private partnership model, the Treasury has revealed, paving the way for the project to progress to the development stage. The Treasury says the project that seeks to clear heavy congestion and slow speeds between the two cities will cost about, just $3.6 billion. That's in today's exchange rate, 555 billion shillings. Sour.
Slightly more than the SGR.
No,
just kidogo by about.
So are they also going to build an expressway somewhere in between? Yeah, the expressways are very good.
Somewhere in between what and what?
To Mombasa and Nairobi.
Another expressway.
Just to take us to other places.
Connecting, for the connection of connecting.
Yes, you
get
understand
it.
this thing. Yes.
Yeah,
good.
There will be. Maybe.
I've seen some red lines on that map. The road. Is that meant for BRT?
Who knows, Buana? Maybe those are flowers. Instead of putting those columns that these Chinese guys put here that cannot grow flowers, they'll paint the road red.
But you've not seen
and
the leaves are growing?
The leaves are growing.
Yeah, man.
They're meant to be flowers.
Will
the flowers grow?
Then the flowers will sprout.
Okay.
May I suspect what's happening? There was vegetation along that path before. It was removed. Rain come, they began to sprout.
The original vegetation.
The original one. And it probably is a bit of a creeper. So it knows exactly how to climb up.
This is my space.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me give you the ticker headlines. Increase in cost of loans highest among corporates. The cost of loans to big companies in Kenya rose fastest compared to small enterprises, households and individuals in the 1 year to September because of unfavorable business environment that has been seen to hurt the risk profile of businesses. Carrefour is going to fight the 1 billion shilling fine at the tribunal. And SACCO savings across the 1 trillion shilling mark. Pesa mko na pesa nyinyi wa Kenya. People have saved a trillion shillings plus in SACCOs. Haya, sitting.
Yes.
The Star.
Yes, top right-hand corner. Until green. Drama, oil imports. Drama, as Nyeri admits importing 17 billion oil. The oil was 17 billion without license. The story is on page 8. So she imported it without license. Right. Succeeds Chiloba. Ezra Chiloba, former Director General of the Communications Authority, out in a gentleman by the name of David Mugonyi. David Mugonyi, until his recent appointment, he was the head of Presidential Communication Services. Okay? So now ICT Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo has appointed this particular person as Director General of the Communication Authority of Kenya. Karibu sana. Well, does he have to go for vetting?
Mpana.
Okay. Congratulations. Bwana Director General David Mugonyi.
Usituzime.
Tafadhali.
As long as asituzime. We're good. We're happy.
Did you know, for instance, just for instance, that brushing teeth daily reduces risks of pneumonia?
Pneumonia?
Pneumonia.
I saw that headline and I'm wondering how.
Brushing teeth daily reduces risks of pneumonia.
Researchers have found that hospital-acquired pneumonia is reduced significantly by the brushing of teeth daily among hospital patients.
Fighting the pneumococcal.
Yes.
The bacteria.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Yes.
Tuambie traffic.
Sawa.
Umempiga headline, top headline. Bang in the middle.
Ile ya teal green ama ile bang in the
teal
middle.
green I've done.
Bang in the middle?
Bang in the middle.
Bang in the
quite.
middle, not yet.
2024-2025 estimates aim to bring down cost of living, create jobs. That is how Ruto plans to spend 4 trillion budget in 2024. Draft shows Kenya Kwanza keen on roads, keen on affordable housing, keen on mega dams. What they actually wrote was Kenya Kwanza government keen on roads, affordable houses, and mega dams. Okay? CJ Kome wins Africa Leadership 2023 awards.
Of course she does.
Yes. President William Ruto and Chief Justice Martha Koome have won the African Leadership Magazine Person of the Year 2023 award. President Ruto jointly won the African Year Award alongside Afrimax Bank President Professor Benedict Oke Orama. So now we can move on to the other thing.
It's the traffic. Sawa.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Okay, so this morning, not much happening in terms of traffic. We're still looking at easy streets, getting in and out of the CBD this morning. A little bit of it then coming on Haile Selassie, actually not a little bit, quite some of it. And it looks like it's going to be another messy morning here. Traffic then coming in already from Landis, and Jago Road is busy. Lusaka Road is trying to, punch up here as well. Coming in then towards the CBD from Gong Road also will be an issue. If this continues, what we are seeing now, definitely that's going to pack up as well. Take a superhighway, no problem. Coming off Langat Road, you're good as gold. If you're coming out of Westlands, you're also fairly all right. Not much happening until you get to that exit at the expressway and heading into the city. Limuru Road, they said they're not doing. Everybody, we are fine. Let's see what happens in about an hour or so when we get into traffic hour, if that will have any bearing on what we see right now. In the meantime, how about we talk when you run into something that we should know? SpiceFM, KE on X.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, a businessman, woman at the center of the contested 17 billion shilling consignment was yesterday at pains, she really was, to convince MPs that she was the rightful owner of the mystery shipment. She just couldn't put words together at all. Miss Anne Jerry, who appeared before the National Assembly Committee on Energy, had been summoned to adduce evidence on her claim against Galana Energies and also to set the record straight on how she was able to import oil without a valid license. Okay, now, the Vincent Musyoka-led committee sought to know the country of origin of the oil and how she paid for it, and proof that she had complied with the relevant import laws. But the CEO surprised the committee after she admitted, wait for it, that she had never before traded in oil imports into Kenya, and that she only decided to do so after learning while in Dubai of a biting fuel shortage in the country. So you get it?
Oh, she was just chilling in
doing her
Dubai.
things. Then she said,
Sprinkling gold onto her, whatever.
onto her cornflakes in the morning, drinking.
And then had Kenya kwashida ya mafuta.
Oh my goodness, there's a fuel shortage. Allow me to help.
Let me help.
This is what she said.
Okay.
According to her own account, she then proceeded to pay 17 billion shillings from a Russian oil deal.
So she paid to, or she paid from?
Wait. She then proceeded to pay 17 billion from a Russian oil dealer and had the oil shipped to the country without checking to see whether she had complied with the set out requirements. She said, wait a minute. Shortage iko Kenya. Shida yenu ni mafuta.
She calls Russian.
Call Russia, wait, let her pesa.
Nyet, mafuta.
In the biscuit. Send mafuta.
Russian
mafuta
says,
Kenya. Russian said only.
Nyet.
No, nyet.
Go. Nyet problem.
She said, why should I check papers? After all, shida yenu ni
mafuta.
Na iko?
Mafuta ndio hii.
So shida ni what? She now said this was the longest sentence she actually made yesterday. It is my humble submission that I procured this fuel for sale into any country in East Africa. As an upstream trader, I do not need a license to deliver fuel, CIF, remember CIF is cost insurance and freight, to a customer who has a license to operate in their jurisdiction. That was from her understanding.
Okay.
I seek to be fully, in fact, now, you tell me I don't need a license, I didn't see that problem. I was trying, in fact, I am a solutions person.
So her, she's upstream.
Yes.
Not midstream.
Not downstream.
And she was supplying to somebody who has a license.
Yes, she said in your jurisdiction you have. That's what they asked her. Now,
so who did you expect to take the mafuta?
She didn't. So now
she was gonna work it out.
After all, these things, eating gold-plated cornflakes, and then that one is not a problem. It can be worked out. You get it? Then she now said, I seek, this one is funny, I seek to be fully compensated for loss of my product, which was illegally taken possession of by Galana Energies. Now they've even taken my fuel on top of that. I want my money back. The businesswoman declined to provide evidence of payments made for the shipment. So if you've paid, see, show us you've paid. Nope, can't do. Terming the documents as private and confidential. She said, what? Me show you my account? It's not going to happen. That was when Nambale MP Godfrey Mulanya sought to know how she moved such an enormous amount of money and how she was able to get the oil from Russia despite the sanctions. Remember that there are what? There are sanctions. She said, this is another funny one. I have the SWIFT codes to prove that I paid for the oil.
Okay.
However, they're not for the public. I can only show them to the chair of the committee. The rest of you people who are asking, it's not going to happen. The chair and in private. She said she made the payments through a bank transfer from a bank based in Dubai. So that money was just, just there. She was accompanied by her friends, her sister-in-law, and her lawyer. It was a kumbaya moment. The committee was also treated to drama after Jerry was unable to verbally state the name of the company that sold her the oil. Let me ask you, if I sell you a pair of shoes, Ndu Enterprises, you even click you pay, will you forget?
Yes. if it's Ndu in Russian, you can forget.
Okay, I understand.
Yes.
She said that she could, it was just a difficult thing
and
to come
plus
out
the
of her
stress of being in front of this committee and answering all these questions. You
can make somebody forget.
Yeah. You expect to remember everything.
Remember, she had even been kidnapped. Man,
for days in a windowless house.
Yes.
It's true, I understand. She now said when she was trying to, she couldn't remember. Then her lawyer now said, hey,
See,
then she now said, okay.
That is why we have lawyers.
she now was asked, where exactly in Russia did you buy the oil from? Because in your submission, you have stated that you got the consignment from Jeddah. And the last time we checked, Jeddah is not in Russia, as you had told the committee.
Yeah, but where's the problem?
She answered.
She now did not say anything. According to her submission, she got the oil from SC Ushukuyu, based in the Republic of Kazakhstan. Do you understand?
That's Russia.
Kazakhstan inafanana na Russia.
That's Russia.
Sisa zingine. The directorship of her company also came into question, and the committee also rather cast doubt on a tax compliance certificate allegedly from the KRA. The certificate you have given us is fake because the name tax compliance has been misspelled to read tax compilance.
Typo.
After all, somebody made a typo the other day, $5 billion instead of 5 billion shillings.
When the immediate former president was in treasury, a similar mistake was made.
This thing is automatically generated on the system.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
It is the
everybody who
same
generated that
template.
date was
It
spelled
just
compilance.
inserts the name.
Yes.
So it was this day.
That day, everybody who
Well,
received
do
something
you
that day
actually
was spelled
think
compilance.
that KRA were absolved from these heavy rains we've been having?
Hey.
Wamenyeshewa?
No, definitely. Please carry on. I'm waiting for something substantive.
As for what could the problem be?
Yes, because so far I've not had a problem. Just because the oil came from Russia and Kazakhstan
and Jeddah,
and then arrived in Jeddah, what makes you think that oil was not from where she says
and
it was?
that the compilance form was.
She didn't write it.
She's not the one who wrote
She's not the one who wrote it.
She said that that's how she got it, and it is authentic.
Yes.
And the Musyoka now said, we're going to invite KRA boss here to explain to us how it can have a spelling
KRA
problem.
boss cannot know how these things are done.
She said it is authentic, and she even paid for it through the e-citizen portal. Do you understand?
Yes.
Hey! It goes
E-citizen.
on e-citizen.
This lady has never applied for a tax compliance certificate.
In her life.
She hasn't.
She has not.
E-citizen.
E-citizen. She now
Yes.
even
She never heard of iTax.
No.
Okay.
Look.
Why should you hear of ITAX? I said she was sitting in Dubai and she just heard that Kenya has a fuel problem. And she personally,
And anyway,
when here, we decided to sort it out. Now you're asking her to go and get ITAX compilance.
Look, it is e-citizen is government of Kenya. This iTax you're mentioning, government of Kenya. I don't know why you guys are not connecting the dots. Okay, just go back to even where the oil was found. She said where she got it from. Came from
just Jeddah,
Russia. Landed in Russia. She was in Dubai. Dubai is next door to Jeddah. Yes.
Jeddah.
Here. So
you can see how you can get confused.
There's nothing. Please continue that story.
It's very sweet. So she now said that they also took issue with the illegibility of the documents tabled before the House team, claiming that she had intentionally used a faint font. Is there a way when you're doing Microsoft Word, the font can be faint? You can do grayscale. They now said she used a faint font to give the members a hard time. And she said, no, I didn't. So now if you say I did and then I say I didn't, where's the... We move on. Galana LNG CEO Anthony Musiasia, on his part, furnished the committee with the documents he claimed prove ownership of the consignment and letters from the Kenya Ports Authority, which he said gave his firm a green light to import the oil. He brought everything plus the kitchen sink. He brought documents, he brought certificates, he brought quality assurance, and he brought, origin vessel manifest, bill of lading. He even had the number KG22/2023. He brought everything.
Even e-citizen.
He even knew that Jeddah is not in Kazakhstan. The CEO said that they had been nominated as agents for Aramco Trading, one of the 3 Saudi Arabia oil exporters engaged in the government-to-government deal. William Ruto, not the one you're thinking, the one for KRA. KPA, sorry. Disputed claims that the consignment originated from Russia. He said Russia, onge. He said, telling the committee that it is originated from Saudi Arabia. But Jeddah is in Saudi Arabia. You understand? And said that this is where there's a tracking history. A ship cannot just take off.
Can just come land at Mombasa.
Somebody documented it from somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, enter Davis Churchill. He now told the committee that Nyeri had not been licensed to import oil and that her firm had not signed any agreements such as the open tendering system requires them to do by law. So there was a bus. Chir came, took Nyeri, threw her away, said, this one, not allowed. It went on, and they said, this one, we shall revisit.
Guy.
Nakwambia. Where?
Ati she's an experienced oil trader. She's been in this
Meanwhile, this
industry
is the first
for
one she
30
has
years. Nini. How can some small company come and steal her?
The precedent was set by KEMSA.
Where?
She was in Dubai. Other people were just passing by KEMSA.
And then she had Ikoshida Mafuta. And she knows a Russian friend.
A guy, I said, you know that we've been, friends for a long time. Then I'm in a bit of a jam. Will you?
How's the guy?
2017. No problem.
Ivo.
Ivo.
We need oil.
We need oil in Kenya.
Yes.
You need oil.
Yes. Oil we've got.
Oil problem, no problem. You pay, I pay.
I sent.
I send money. Oil come.
Oil go.
You know something about this saga?
Where my oil? Oh, it was stolen. Oh, it's Galana. Oh.
How?
And you play me.
Me kill you.
Me kill you.
And you guys stop watching these big movies. Go and watch serious movies. Where at least the dialogue makes sense. Me kill you. Me. You Jazza, no.
Me Kazakhstan. Father Lord.
Police arrest.
Kidnap.
Windowless.
I swear. You don't need to watch movies, actually.
Bring my money.
Ivo. Now it's Ivo.
Just wait. I was going to tell I boil you in hot oil.
I send Gregory to you.
Gregory Sota.
Right.
Hiya. Let's come back to Kenya. Oh no, we've been in Kenya.
We've been here.
No.
Okay. From the drama of oil that has two owners to land that has two owners. A 1.5 billion shilling parcel of land being claimed by a company associated with Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and his wife Dorcas has two genuine title deeds. This is according to a senior officer at the Lands Ministry. Two genuine.
They're
title
genuine?
Yes,
Okay.
both of them. The Director of Land Administration, Gordon Ochieng, who is based at Athi House, told Justice Joseph Boyer that two genuine title deeds exist in the land registry, all issued unsigned by the Commissioner of Lands. Ochieng confirmed two title deeds issued for the same parcel of the land to Columbus 2000 Limited of John Michael Ohas and Wamunyoro Investments Limited of Mr. Gachagua and his wife Dorcas. Ochieng testified that records held in his office indicate that Columbus 2000 Limited was allocated the land as unsurveyed industrial plot by the then Commissioner of Lands. Through a letter dated February 1994, the land measuring 2 hectares was allocated to Columbus for a term of 99 years with effect from February 1st, 1994. It was a condition that a lessee was required to pay a standing premium to the Lands Office within 30 days, failure to which the property would revert back to the government. The judge, who admitted Ochieng's statement as evidence, heard that the allocation of the land near the JKIA to Mr. Ohas Columbus Company was based on a part development plan prepared by the Department of Physical Planning. The land administrator, has been at Athi House for 34 years, told Justice Boyer that the land whose ownership Pete Gachagua, his wife Dorcas, and Michael Ohas, a retired director of physical planning in the Ministry of Lands, were issued by the Commissioner of Lands. This Ohas guy is a former director of physical planning at the Ministry. Tuko pamoja? Now, Ohas and his Columbus, they paid 50,000 shillings in 1996, and by this time, the land had reverted back to the government. You see, he was supposed to have paid some money within 30 days. okay, of him being allocated this land. This is 1994. 1994, the year, plus 30 days, according to Ohas, is 1996. So he goes to 1996 and pays 50 Gs.
By that time, the land has
reverted back to government. The land was subsequently issued to Karandi Farm Limited, Peter N. Bogwa and Pauline Moringe, April 30th, 1999, for a term of 99 years from 1st of May 1999. So unasikia? So 1994 is when it was first issued to Mr. Ohas and Columbus. He was supposed to pay some money within 30 days. He apparently did not pay. By this time, it reverts back to the government. He comes in 1996 and says, here, 50,000 shillings.
Did they take the 50,000?
He paid 50,000 shillings.
Okay.
But by this time, the land had reverted back to the government. But they did not have any other conversation with him. Remember, he's an insider. He is a director of physical planning at the ministry. Nothing happens. Then the same land is issued by the ministry to, in 1999, 3 years after this guy gave his 50K.
50K 1999. A lot of money.
It's given to Karandi Farm Limited, Peter Bogwa and Pauline Moringe. In December 2002, Karandi, Mbogwa and Moringe were issued the title deed upon payment of the required premiums. 2002, since 1994, this thing has just been changed. 8 years later, title is issued. Despite the fact that it had been issued to Peter Ndwati Mbogwa, Pauline Moringe and Karandi Farms Limited in December 2002, the Office of the Commissioner of Lands went ahead and processed another title to Columbus 2000 Limited.
Remember he had paid.
The title to Columbus 2000 as lessee as IR 209/12077 created an unprecedented scenario where two entities have laid claim over the suit property. But this late allocation to Columbus 2, according to Ochieng, though regular, should be considered illegal, null and void insofar as it overlaps onto private property. Asked by State Counsel Alan Kamau whether two titles can be issued for the same parcel of land, Ochieng responded, "It is not a normal occurrence." He, however, added that he could not trace the file for the property at the land registry. The witness told the judge that despite the fact that a title to the suit property being earlier processed and issued to Karandi in December 2002, who later transferred to a Munyoro Investment Limited associated with Gachagua, the Office of the Commissioner of Lands went ahead and processed another title to Columbus. It's Matogodanio here. It's a complete Matogodanio of a story.
Oh, mess. So what is it? Whose land is it? They don't know, and they don't know how they're going to get out of it.
Now, Ohas, as far as it's concerned, he got a title.
And it's his, yeah.
Gashagua's company, as far as it's concerned, it bought land from Karandi. Karandi had a genuine title. Sijui kama tuko pamoja.
Ndio wako pamoja kwa hiyo land. All of them in that land. Sheesh.
So now this is where the judge applies Solomonic wisdom. Split this land into two.
Split it into take half.
Has take this one. The other guys who are not has take the other one. But you know what I find strange, I thought these processes had all been digitalized. Okay. So I will remain with my thoughts. By the way, that COVID vaccine which was free, it's coming to an end. Wednesday next week.
What do you mean it's coming to an end?
The freeness
the
of the vaccine
of COVAX was announced by its founders, including Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization, known as Gavi.
Oh, they've still been issued the free COVID vaccines?
Yes.
Wow.
They noted that the demand for COVID-19 vaccine has waned quickly throughout the world and is almost non-existent in some countries such as Kenya. So, story of vaccine coming to an
From
end.
this point on, Nunua.
From Wednesday next week, if you want, you can pay and you buy. But you can hurry up. And when you hurry up, you can buy.
Yeah. Anyway, it's 7 a.m. Let's get the news.
Spice up your life.
morning. This is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. ODM members have expressed their support for retired President Uhuru Kenyatta's return to politics. In recent days, Jubilee Party has been holding several meetings aimed at reviving his presence in the political scene. Among the members in the meeting are Kiambu former MPs Peter Mwathi and Jude Njomo, vowing to campaign to oppose some of the government's plans and defend the people.
Now, the former president obviously is a leader, is a national leader. We respect him, and he respects the people. And he spoke just the other day, and he said he still respects people. It doesn't matter, kulikuwa na difference kidogo. But he says, let us unite. And we are uniting because we have a purpose, unity of purpose, that we must defend ourselves, and we must, most importantly, defend our rights.
The former president is the leader of the Jubilee Party and is the leader of Azimio Party. And he cuts a national image. He is the pride of our nation. So he has, he can give us guidance as a community and as a nation, and we respect him for that.
According to National Assembly Minority Leader Pio Andai, retired President Uhuru Kenyatta has the freedom like any Kenyan to engage in politics under Article 38 of the Constitution. His statement has been backed by Awendo MP Walter Wino, Nyatike MP Tom Odege and Rangu MP Lilian Gogo. However, Uriri Member Parliament Mark Nyamita says that the retired president should not be partisan. These as discussions on Kenyatta's return to politics is expected to revive the previous discussion that he should be denied his retirement benefits. And the Energy Committee now says that businesswoman Nyeri, who is associated with the 17 billion shillings oil saga, is not the owner of the oil cargo that is in dispute between Galana Oil Company and ANZ Import and Export Enterprise Limited. Chairperson of the committee, Vincent Musyoka, said the documents from KRA submitted by Nyeri is fake.
I want to put it to you kwamba ile tax compliance certificate ambayo mmepatiana is fake.
No, it's not fake.
I have it, it is fake.
Your documentation is actually in total reverse. The first is the last, the middle should have been the second.
However, the businesswoman opposed this statement, maintaining that she has the correct receipts showing that she is the real owner of the said oil, insisting that she should be compensated after it was found that the oil was sold. Kenya Human Rights Commission now wants the prosecution team that handled the Aurora and Kimorer case moved from office through any legal means. Executive Director Davis Malombe claimed it was evident that the prosecution did not perform on the case as expected of them.
From the onset, the court observed that the prosecution's approach was designed for failure, characterized by a reckless dereliction of duty. The collapse of the Arol and Kimalel case confirmed the ODPP is politically captured and is part of a conspiracy to defeat justice.
ODPP, that is the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, is such a critical cog in the criminal justice system, and the right to justice and the fight against corruption must not be handled with such casualness. DPP, in the exercise of his or her functions, or the powers of his or her office, shall not be under the direction or control of any person or authority.
Police in Emurua Dikir, Narok County, have detained a 30-year-old man for allegedly cultivating an undisclosed quantity of bhang on his farm. Robert Langat, Ikirin Sub-Location Assistant Chief Philip Rich says was apprehended after area residents raised concerns about unfamiliar individuals visiting his residence during odd hours. At the time of Langat's apprehension, authorities seized multiple rolls and stems of bhang along with freshly harvested variants of the plant that were prepared for packaging. And the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops has moved to clarify the controversial decision by the Vatican allowing priests to bless same-sex unions, saying it only allows simple blessings outside the liturgical setting. The Kenyan bishops, responding to public concerns on the matter, said the move is meant to promote inclusion irrespective of the moral status of the congregants. The bishop said the directive sanctioned by Pope Francis was part of efforts to expand the scope of pastoral blessings administered by the Church. This is News. I'm Dennis Assetto. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
It's busy coming into the city on Haile Selassie. Very, very busy. Inbound traffic, outbound traffic as well is doing the thing. And we're looking at bumper to bumper. It's crossing over from Gong Road and is already starting to look like it will be crazier as we get into traffic hour. Landis Road also taking in quite some through towards the Kamkunji roundabout. Jago Road busy, not as busy as it normally is, but we will see that pile up as we see this traffic on Haile Selassie continue to do what it's doing. On the Thika Superhighway, we're looking all right. Pangani at the underpass, some traffic as you get out into the CBD. You can use Mangari Madai into the city. That's not going to be a problem. And then past Moranga Road, you're fine as well. Everywhere else in the city has shut down, it looks like. But let's just see how the morning opens up. Sun is up, birds are chirping, and all those good things. Let's talk on Spice FM KE on X and keep things moving this morning.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The only way to start your day as we head towards Christmas, this 21st day of December 2023. Hey, we're saying Christmas is coming and it's about time you just think about what you're going to be eating. And as you think about eating, think about dental health. And Colgate is saying, yes, yes, yes. Let's go into Christmas smiling, happy. And they're offering free dental checkups across the country. Colgate Kenya, their Facebook page, go there, check where they will be on whatever day you're thinking of. But I'll tell you about two places that they will be. This weekend, the 23rd and the 24th, that's Saturday and Sunday, Colgate free dental checkup will be at Naivas Greenspan Mall. And on the 30th and 31st of December, the free checkups will be at Naivas Buruburu. You're in Mnagani City? Yes. And our sister station, that's called Vibes Radio, will also be there on the ground, following up and entertaining you as you go for the free dental checkup and saying, this is the thing, this is the thing, this is the thing. And as we talk about Naivas, the festive season is here and it's another winning season with Naivas as we prepare to celebrate with family and friends this Christmas week. Remember, there is no Christmas like a Naivas Krisi. All thanks to Naivas Kikwetu Fiesta. We get to katika to 100% real deals at the 101 Naivas Kilo Calls. Nasio Stories at Jaba. Watu wa Ingo this year, you'll not miss out. We're in Kakamega Kilo Call number 101. Today, one of our listeners has the opportunity to win a shopping voucher courtesy of Naivas Kikwetu Fiesta. All you need to do is join in on our Spice FM Drive show with Edward Quach for a chance to win with Naivas Kikwetu Fiesta. This afternoon, Sindio.
Do it.
Smile like that, like that, like that. School fees.
Yes, it's a thing.
And January is coming.
Okay. Are you going to go to the shop for me?
Mm.
So you do like that?
I get you something.
Yes. Thank you very much. You too can walk into a shop today and buy the tin of kiwi. Right? So Kiwi, step up and shine with Kiwi. They're saying this year, you know what we can do? We can get you into the season and also get you into making sure the school fees come January is paid. Walk into a shop, pick up a tin of this, and then you're going to pop the lid. Under the lid is a code. You input that code when you dial *459*5# and you win instant airtime or data. You then also get a chance to enter into a draw that's going to get you 35,000 bob. Goes towards school fees. 4 people every week winning with Kiwi. Go get Kiwi today. Pay school fees in January like that.
When you talk about shopping and all, recently there's been a conversation about shopping, particularly shopping in supermarkets. And that's what we want to have a conversation on this morning. The Competition Authority of Kenya has flexed not just one, but almost all its muscles.
At the same time.
Yes, at the same time. And it has cracked down on a company called operating as Carrefour in the Kenyan market. And that's what we want to discuss. Carrefour is part of the Retail Trade Association of Kenya. And they have also responded and said, surely. Hey, what is all this, Buana? Okay, so we have both of them in the studio. The manager for buyer power at the Competition Authority of Kenya, Dr. Priscilla Njako, is one of our guests, joined by Willie Kimani, who is the lead of the supermarket sector at Retrack and also founder of Jazza Group. Willie, good morning.
Good morning to you.
It's been a while, Buana.
Yeah, it has become an annual.
Yeah, it's just like coming once a year. Yeah. This is your once a year visit. This is a visit.
Yes.
Aha. Yeah. Dr. Priscilla, karibu sana.
Asante
Kenya's
sana.
biggest conversation. That is the hot seat. Willie has been here before. He knows how to cool it down. But you and I will help us to warm it up for him.
Perfect.
Karibu.
Asante sana.
To welcome you to the conversation, City usually goes to one country across Africa and brings us African proverbs from that country. This week, he's been to another country in Africa and he brings us African proverbs from that country. Which country is this?
I think you're familiar with this country. It's on the East African coast. Yes, it neighbors Somalia, Ethiopia, Southern Sudan, Tanzania, Uganda, and the Indian Ocean.
That's one country neighboring
all these things, yes. And I think you know the country. You probably visited it on many occasions. In fact, you look like the person who has actually visited and even lived there.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay, fine. Which one would this be? That neighbors everyone in Africa. The only country I didn't hear you list there is Malawi. This is neighbor Malawi.
You know, because you're a guest, we can't even list Malawi.
Sure, Malawi.
Yeah.
It's Kenya.
Oh, all right. Yeah. I need to do an annual pilgrimage like Willie here. Just help me, you know?
The proverbs we've had the whole of this week have only been proverbs that were translated in whichever language into the English language. So we felt that it would be remiss if we had an entire week of proverbs and didn't have a proverb in the Kiswahili language. So today's proverb is in the Kiswahili language. Makali ya jicho yashinda wembe.
Makali ya jicho
yashinda wembe.
Yashinda wembe. Do you get it, Dr. Priscilla?
I believe I do.
Okay, what's your interpretation of it? What's the translation?
Into English?
Please.
The effect, the sharpness of the eye is worse or is stronger than that of a razor.
Dude, say voila.
She can.
Yes.
Voila. Thank you.
How do you interpret it?
In the sense that a look sometimes communicates more than the cut of a razor, in the sense of may cause more pain, may have deeper impact, may have higher effect, worse than the physical pain.
I agree.
Uh-huh.
You See, the beauty of preferring your own opinion is you really can't be wrong.
Excellent.
You see, it's how you respond to the proverb, and it's how it resonates with you. So, as they say in modern English, you are good to go.
Asante sana.
Kabisa.
Kabisa.
Would you have a different interpretation, Willie?
No, actually, I fully agree. If you just interpret it with just your mom looking at you and you're messing up, I will not touch that chapati over that festive season. But at times that particular, it communicates more, as in, and all that. So there is a bigger meaning on the bigger, deeper bit of that, and that's why they say even when you're actually having the whole national conversation, it's when you're actually people looking at you and saying, okay, it's and I know of many people who will actually be like, it's better someone to come and beat me physically but not wait and look at me in that particular stare. So I fully agree with Dr.
Very good. Very good. Before we come into this conversation, really, you, somebody who's big in the restaurant industry is called a restaurateur. Somebody who's big in the supermarket industry is called a
retailer.
It would have been fun to hear you wrap your tongue around.
Supermarketeur.
Yeah.
So, as a seasoned retailer, now you're singing Jazza Group. What's Jazza Group? We don't know you as Jazza Group.
Yeah, so Jazza is a new kid in the retail block. We saw that there was a gap in the market for a hard discounter. So what we're doing, of course, the macroeconomics have not been good. And there needed to be someone who can actually come out here and say, hey, guess what? I'm going to do a model that is actually out there, the Aldi Beam model, the Boxer model out there, which is a no-frill model, cut completely on your cost of operation, work with very few brands, and pass that particular benefit to the end customer. So this is us. We now have 3 stores, in fact opening 1 more today. From here I'm going directly to Githurai to open another store, our 4th store. We intend to have at least 6 stores by the end of the year, and another. The
year is ending next week, boss.
Yes. So I intend to open another store in Kayole, Choka and Gashie, and we're doing this in a matter to just address that particular bit that times are hard. Times are hard, and someone needs to do something specific to that lower target market that is giving up choice for value. So at Jazza, what you're targeting more is you not come and find the fancy lights and all such things. Is the choice part of it. So it's a value part of it. So you come there, you find unga the best price. And how is it? Making sure you optimize on operation cost, making sure that you're actually working with only fewer suppliers and getting the particular deals in. That's what Jazza is all about. And of course, launching the Kenya's first WhatsApp e-commerce, which is way simpler and easier for people to just quickly shop about it. That's what Jazza is all about.
City is smiling.
I am smiling because when one uses the word no frills in business, one always thought of these airlines where I think apart from carrying your own food, you might as well carry your own seat.
And your luggage on
your lap.
Na mafuta yako kwa jerrycan. Okay. All the best, really.
Thank you very much.
All the best. Dr. Njako, you are the manager of Buyer Power, the competition authority. We've hosted other managers at Competition Authority, and in fact the last time we had a conversation, the issue of buyer power came in, and we're given some good explanation around it. And then no sooner had we started understanding buyer power than we hear
we saw the effect of
1 billion. Like, what's all that? So let's get into this particular instance where you feel that buyer power has been misused. Okay, give us the background.
Thank you very much, Eric. The background is this, that under the Act, there are a number of offences against the Competition Act 2010. One of those offences is abuse of buyer power. There are those that people are pretty familiar with, restrictive trade practices and cartels. But there is also buyer power added into the Act about the beginning of 2017. And basically, the Act makes abuse of buyer power an offence. and punishable by a criminal sanction, but also punishable in the alternative through administrative sanctions, and financial penalties are one such administrative sanction. But just basically buyer power, very quickly in a nutshell, is the ability or the influence a buyer in a powerful position can exert to extract terms which, while highly advantageous to them, actually disproportionate and injurious or detrimental to their supplier, or terms that are unfair, or terms that are not related to the stated objective of the contract, because it's the core of the contract. But then there's all these other terms around that do not relate in any way to the objective of the supply contract. Or alternatively, it's also the exertion of power by a powerful buyer to extract terms that are outside of normal trade or outside a supplier's ordinary contractual terms, with the effect that the supplier's price and returns are reduced, profitability goes down, they may have to sell below cost, etc., etc. To this specific case, what happened is that the authority began investigations in two cases, August 2022, and then there was another complaint again that came in December 2022 of the same year. But previously to this, the authority had actually issued a determination against this specific undertaking, and that was at the beginning of 2020, exactly in similar circumstances. And so what was the complaint? The complaint was that there was abuse of buyer power by this retailer, Carrefour, operating, that's a trade name, of course, Majid Al Futtaim is the name of the company. And so the complaint was that this retailer has engaged in conduct that amounts to abuse of buyer power in the following ways: extracting rebates whose effects, and they are fixed, they are not negotiable, and the effect of those rebates are to increasingly push the supplier to the corner in terms of their profitability, in terms of the price. Also to create uncertainty, because part of the rebates were annual and they applied to the annual sales for that year. So there's a further deduction to the final invoice. And so, of course, at the beginning of the year, while it is possible to forecast, you cannot forecast with absolute certainty. So I do not know how much I'll finally sell to Carrefour. Therefore, I cannot tell how much I will finally surrender from my returns. Another complaint was that this retailer had required these suppliers to send staff, employees, on their cost to work in the branches of this retailer, occasionally to take overnight stock taking, and so therefore this is actually the business of the retailer. And then the final complaint was that there was threats of unilateral termination upon request to negotiate, so that the supplier asks, could we discuss this? Is this negotiable? It's hurting my business. This is shortly post-COVID, and the push is right there. The economic circumstances are not as perfect as they were previously, not perfect, as good as they were previous. Could we talk? And the threat was that, no, we cannot talk. It's either this way or the highway. And subsequent when we commenced our investigations, subsequently, because this conduct was ongoing, remember in 2020, this is investigations we had conducted, and had come to a conclusion, a determination, which the Competition Tribunal has upheld, because we're still in the current situation. And so we required the retailer to cease and desist, hold on, pause, while we investigate. Should we find there's no liability, well and good, you pick up, you can recover whatever back fees you want to charge on the supplier. But should we find you liable, then, this matter will take due course. And shortly after we issued that cease and desist order, it was in the press, because we had to gazette under Section 37 of the Act. The retailer promptly then, terminated the contract as a retaliatory measure. And so that's the environment we found ourselves in, because the conduct of that nature, the conduct there was complaints about, is actually listed. The Act sets out the following cannot be done, and the Act is absolutely clear on that. And so hence, here we are with a penalty of 1.108 billion shillings. And it's important to point out that this penalty is actually on two matters. So it's actually 554 million shillings. I know everyone is running with the 1 point, but there are two infractions of the law, each of which is attracting 5 points.
Okay, yeah, that's clear. You started with the, and I think just to understand, you started with the law and what the law says you cannot do. Then we've looked at what was, and this is not allegations, this is what now was shown to be the case after having gone to the authority, then gone to the tribunal, and then gone to court, right? Court upholds what the tribunal had established in the beginning, right? My question is it clear for retailers from the very beginning what the Act says in terms of how they can or cannot operate? The way you've listed them out, very clear. Do retailers have access to this clarity in terms of what their actions would be as compared to what the law states?
Thank you. Absolutely. I would say absolutely that they do. And let me speak about retailers generally, and then I'll speak about this Carrefour, this specific retailer. Retailers generally, this law has been in place since the year 2016. 2017 January took effect, passed in December 2016. And subsequent to that, the authority has engaged in a lot of sensitization. We have had sensitization initiatives. I see Willie is nodding his head because we have worked together. And as recently as mid-November, my team was in Kisumu for the week, talking with members of RETRAC, talking with members of CAM, and talking with AKS members, Association of Kenyan Suppliers, and also SMEs, right, generally. And so there has been a concerted effort, very aggressive, active effort by the authority. So every year we have had what are they called? We have had sensitization sections. Number two, we have worked very closely with the retail, with the sectors players in that space, and there is actually tangible proof in the form of a code of practice, which the authority gazetted. Called the members together. There had been efforts to put together a code previously under State Department of Trade, but when the authority got now the mandate under the Act, members were gathered together. We had engagement, put together a code of practice, and the code of practice was gazetted by the authority to give it some, to tack it within the Act. And so you can see that we are not strangers to retailers. Let me come down to Majida Full-Time. This retailer, we have had previous enforcement, and this was in the year 2020, which you have just a reference to. And this matter, same thing. Excessive rebates, demands to send suppliers, return of goods upon ordering goods. So I order this number of cartons, and when they arrive, I tell actually I just wanted one carton. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. And remember, this may be perishable goods, maybe yogurt. Like in the case we investigated and concluded completely to the end, that gives this retailer clarity on what the law is, what you can and cannot do, involved perishable goods, yogurt. Okay, and so return of yogurts. I'm sorry that a kind of situation. And so this specific retailer is more aware than all others. Actually, because upon our determination, you cannot do this, you will need to amend your contracts, and here is a small fine for you to pay. The retailer then appealed to the tribunal, and the tribunal considered the matter, considered what we had placed on the table, our analysis, considered the retailer's response, and held, retailer, you're in the wrong. The authority is right. You're going to have to stop this. And then it's at that point that the retailer then escalated to the High Court. But the matter has been pending for the last 3 years.
So the retailer has interacted with the law.
Very closely.
Definitely
a little too
so.
closely.
Okay. Willie, at the Retail Trade Association, you obviously bring in very many members of and players in the retail sector. Is the law clear?
The law
as
is
clear as Dr. Njako explains it.
The law is very clear, and I have to point out that the harmonized code of practice was more like a tripartite agreement, and we picked quite a lot from the British Code of Retail Practice, and KAM, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Association of Kenyan Suppliers, AKS, RETRAC, under the guidance then of the Ministry of Trade, and a lot of involvement with the Competition Authority. Members, we actually came up with that, and at that time the biggest issue was prompt payment. It was a time that we are seeing the collapse of Nakumat. There was a bit of shaky bits when it comes to Uchumi and everyone, and we all came in together to say, hey, you know what, there needs to be a code of conduct. Everybody was on the retailer's neck, and in principle it was to agree on how do we grow. How do we start trading with each other, a supplier to a manufacturer or a retailer? How do we ensure that we're able to compensate each other? How do we ensure that there's a particular rebate? How do we do about payments? What comes first? Is it, for example, the credit days or the credit limit and things like that? And how do we put all that into law? And so that code was actually done. We signed it off. And yes, it is actually there. But then again goes this whole aspect which says I am going to sign up, and it's very clear in the code. It clearly states that every retailer shall be assumed to have actually agreed on what is called the joint business plan or the supply agreement together with the and that's a point of where we actually get a bit of difference, because if I have agreed with my supplier that is going to be supplying me XYZ, at what point does it now become buyer power when clearly trade changes? I'll give you a good example. If it's a COVID time and you had already given out an LPO for books, but schools have now been closed. I mean, we're going to receive the books to take them away. At that point, you need a negotiation. You need to actually talk. At that point, is it buyer power now, and I'm actually buying and putting up those books? What are the mechanics that we now put in? And that's why then we had what is called a committee that was set up, that had various representation from members to be able to help us to solve those particular kind of disputes, including the payment bits of it or elements within the same. And so all what we actually came in and within our presser is to say, hey, we will always have variations. There are times that the shop is actually shrinking. The shelf is shrinking. If you notice, we no longer have the bigger stores, but suppliers and manufacturers are innovating, and that means things will change. And how you now look at what is called the joint business plan or the supply agreement, once I've signed it and we are already in agreement, and then there's a conflict, then you rush to CAK. Does that become abuse of buyer power? We agreed, we signed, you're okay with it, you said for every store I'm opening you're going to give me XYZ. So now it's reached a point where you're not giving. You signed it.
So Retract's argument here is, if you agreed to the terms of a contract, then abide by the contract. And it's not necessarily abuse of buyer power if you signed it.
And always have variations and discussion. So the issue is not as such. The issue is we should always have the discussion points. And when we disagree, let's follow the protocol of actually having at least sector members and all that. So that we don't use a machine gun to actually. It's and if you look at the quantum, for example, we're talking about 16 million shillings worth of rebates and all that versus that's 544 twice. That quantum is way higher, and retailers operate on very thin margins. Net margin for one retailer should be between 4 to 6%. In fact, a very successful retailer out there possibly will be like on around 7 to 8%. So a figure like whatever we actually saw clearly just puts that competitor
you feel
out.
It's too much.
And he's out. And that retailer will most probably just not be able to sustain or even be able to actually operate anymore. So that's a different note. But the most important part of the component is the aspect that when we have an agreement, at what particular level or what meets the threshold of actually being buyer power, and more so when you signed up.
Okay, let's take a break. Let's take a break.
Okay.
We'll continue from that point. It's 26 minutes to 8. Willie Kimani is the sector lead for supermarkets in the Retail Trade Association of Kenya and is also the founder of Jazza Group. Dr. Priscilla Njako is the manager of buyer power at the Competition Authority of Kenya. What is buyer power? When does it become effective? When is it abused? That's what we're discussing. We'll be back shortly as we take this break. Remember, Mara Moja Taxi. Have you downloaded it? Go to Google Play Store, Apple App Store, whatever app store you have. Look for Mara Moja Transport Limited. Look for the blue icon. Download that one. The Mara Moja Taxi is the best taxi hailing service in Kenya by a mile. Number one, it's cheaper to you as a rider. Number two, it gives you more money as the taxi driver. Number three, you are able to load 1,000 shillings or whatever amount you put onto the Mara Moja wallet today, you immediately get a 50% bonus. Hapo iko. You have the buyer power.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Some very nice, mature music.
They really take me back to my days, and I can just feel young again and enjoy the vibes.
Spice.
The sun is up at 17 and looking at sunny conditions at 15 in Nakuru, 15 and sunny in Nyeri, and 14 and sunny in Eldoret. In Mombasa this morning, 28, sun is up as well, and looking at sunny conditions at 28 in Malindi. Kisumu sunny at 20 and Kakamega at 19 is sunny as well. Looking into Kampala, cloudy conditions at 21, while Dar es Salaam is sunny at 28. And we're looking at partly sunny conditions at 20 in Johannesburg, 27 and sunny in Mogadishu, while 13 and sunny in Addis Ababa. Dropping the sun for some hazy skies is Lagos at 24 and Kinshasa, partly cloudy at 24.
Spice up your life.
All right, looking at traffic in the city this morning, we're still looking at bumper-to-bumper situations coming off of Haile Selassie. In and outbound traffic is actually quite crazy. Not quite sure what that issue may be, but keeping an eye on things as we go through the morning. Let's look at coming in from the Thika Superhighway. Not much happening there. That Pangani underpass is going to do you a solid in terms of traffic coming into the city. But then you can use Wangari Maathai Way or then out towards Murang'a Road and you should be all right. After there, Langata Road, no thing. Coming off Limuru Road, I think you'll be all right. Getting in through towards Westlands or then through Parklands and into the CBD. Okay, it looks pretty good from what we see. We're getting into traffic hour now, so things may change just a tad. We'll be here for it. Talk to us on SpiceFM, KE on X.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
Okay.
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Competition Authority of Kenya. Willie Kimani, lead supermarket sector at Retrack and founder of Jazza Group. They are our guests. Dr. Willie has raised the question. What is this threshold that you use to know that there's abuse of buyer power?
All right. Thank you very much. What we use is actually the Act. The Act sets certain requirements, and that speaks very directly to the fact that you could agree on a contract and determine that this is a contract and give what is actually apparent consent. But that contract, as long as it flies in the face of the law, you could agree on it till the cows come home. The law is the law. That contracts that facilitate, the threshold is one, the contract, and two, the conduct that contract facilitates, and engaging in that conduct is actually what the offense is. And so the threshold we used is very, very thorough, and again it addresses the question Willie raised, the issue of a very unhappy or disgruntled supplier. I'll run off to the authority. The thing is that the authority has a staircase, kind of very tiered and very methodical and very fair way of ensuring that we sieve out anything that may actually just be unhappiness on the part of a supplier. There is the Act, so just to keep it very quick, there are three levels under the Act. We look at the nature and determination of the contract, so that we ask, was there consent? Was this contract actually agreed or handed down to the supplier with a dotted line, sign here? And then one may ask, okay, why didn't the supplier just say, oh, I won't sign, I'm off, I'll supply to Jazza, for instance. And I'll come back to why the supplier doesn't go signs and why the authority takes that into account. So the nature of the contract, what are the terms in that contract? The determination of a contract, how was the contract applied, agreed? Is it a standard form contract? And in the case of this retailer, Carrefour, the contracts are standard form, indeed, on Carrefour's letterhead. Standard, always, at all times. And so
it's not negotiated.
It is not effectively, it's not a negotiated, and that's why we are where we are. Otherwise, we wouldn't be. Then we look at the payment asked for access to infrastructure, listing fee. So for me to open a new when I open a new branch, for you to come close to even set foot in, I need a check, 200,000 shillings or 50,000 shillings. Okay?
Per branch?
Per branch.
To put my products in your branch.
To put your products in that branch. The other thing, so that's the second element we look at. The third one, we look at the price. What is the effect of the conduct on the price the supplier has? Is it injurious to a point that the supplier may actually have to wind up, let go of employees, exit the market? Remember, most of these players are actually SMEs. SMEs carry the economy, the Kenyan economy. 40% of the GDP, right? 70% of all employment, direct or indirect. 85% of all new jobs in any 1 year, same sector. And suppliers are likely to be small. And so we must ask, what is the effect of this? Then we are not done when we're finished with the three levels in the Act. We then go to the buyer power guidelines. We want to be thorough and meticulous. We ask, was this supplier economically dependent on the retailer to a point that they could not exit, or exit would have been much more detrimental than sitting in and enduring, giving what is apparent consent. We also ask, what is the nature of the market? The players, how many players are in this market? What are their market shares? We look at the products. Okay, the long and short is that we do not have a situation where there's a complainant who is just unhappy. And to address now very specifically, Carrefour, because this is the matters we investigated, indeed, the two suppliers were still on board. So they were not disgruntled, I am off, we parted acrimoniously, I'll take you to the authority. Indeed, the intention was, could we stay without these terms, which tells you they are probably they are economically dependent on being able, and remember, the retailer is a gateway to the market. So I have my produce here. I don't have a retail shop. I need to get to the consumer, and so there's a gatekeeper here who extracts value to a point that you limp through the gate.
But then, Daktari, and Willie, you can come in here. What would the retailer be looking at? The retailer wants to stay in business, wants to stay afloat. The retailer is shouldering all the costs, rent for the space, power and all the operational costs for the space, marketing, so that people can come bring footfall into the retail store so that your goods can leave my shelves. Is the retailer expected to consider all that and all those costs when we are talking about this particular engagement? To what extent?
Absolutely. They must. And we must also keep in mind that the supplier is also bearing costs on their end. So that at the end of the day, we do not look at the retailers if they're the only You know, we
There,
place them in a special pedestal where they are this special child, quote unquote. But also allow me to say that the other thing is that that these supplier, we must ask at what cost are they still keeping up with the payments. But there's something that, just one quick one, which I want to address because Willie had raised it, 16 million vis-a-vis the penalty, and I believe you have asked the size of the penalty. Let me address that. Number one, I need us to divert our attention away from the penalty for 30 seconds, actually for 10. There are other requirements in that determination. Actually, the most critical for the authority and for the economy is a certain requirement sitting there that no one wants to look at. And the requirement is that the contracts for this retailer, and allow me to say that we have not received complaints of this nature regarding any other retailer, any other member. So, Bwana Willie, I'm also very curious. You have a special child in the house. But we have not, and we do not. And so it's a bit, and maybe you'll address that special child bit. But the thing is this, there's a requirement which we are repeating again, because we stated it 2020, the tribunal repeated it loudly. We are repeating it again 4 years later, that please review your contracts to expunge these onerous, punitive, unnegotiable terms. So that is what we want really now the country to focus on. But now let me go to what we all want to focus on. And that is the penalty. Now, there is a 16 million shillings refund of rebates deducted. Okay? That is actually not the offense. The offense is abuse of buyer power and having terms that the law is very clear about. And so connect the conduct to the penalty. Now, the one thing I also need, I need us to talk about on the penalty is it's high relative to what? What is it high in relative to? You know, so because I'm able to tell you how I arrived at it. In determining this penalty, the authority took into account certain factors already set out, which the retailer was aware of because they sit in our finding and settlement guidelines. We asked, what is the gravity and extent of the contravention? Is this a repeat offender, recidivism? Was there cooperation? Okay. What is the damage caused on the supplier? And what is the duration of this contravention? How long has it gone on? And so on and so forth. And then we also asked, because those are aggravating factors, they push the penalty up. But we also asked, are there mitigating factors? Is it possible that the offender was not aware of the occurrence of the existence of this offense? And what is their contribution maybe to the economy? Might they be giving, and I know this will come up, lower prices? You know, is their consumer welfare? And so at arriving at 554, we took 554 million shillings. We took into account all of these factors. Finally, still on the penalty, the law actually requires that the authority may impose a penalty of up to 10% of the gross annual turnover of the undertaking under investigation for the previous year. And so the law allows a top ceiling of 10%. If you do a quick computation, and I know Willie will agree with me, the figure of 1.1 billion shillings, actually 554, one contravention, 554, another contravention, is well below 2%. In other words, 3%, 2%. So really, it could have been infinitely worse. But we need to ask. So it's high relative to what?
Really, you got a lot to respond.
Yeah. One of the key things is one, of course, and again, Section 3, Part 3 of the conduct where you actually speak about variations. It's very clear. A supplier agreement joint business plan shall be mandatory in the supplier-retailer relationship under the code. And that is the part that now we have to actually discuss and say, if this is the case, and Carrefour, unlike others, goes in and actually has more than around 80% of the customers signed up to the supplier agreement. And there are two agreements here. There's a supplier agreement which first of all dictates how we will be trading, and then there's what is called the joint business plan, which now has the double click on it, which means within the year this is how we trade, this is what expected to do, and we always have what is called reviews every quarter or 3 months, or depending half yearly, depending with how you have. So these are two different documents. So here comes in someone like Kafu, who has very good estate. He has a very good real estate. A supplier 1, 2, 3, 4 wants to be on that shelf, as in you don't want to miss out to be on junction.
Yeah.
The first thing you do is what? Just sign any paper that is there. Now you're on, and then you go like,
what did I just sign?
Later on. Or maybe you didn't have them, and then at that particular point, now that's when now you're now saying, hey, guess what? Within this, because we have other suppliers who never signed and are supplying Kafu, and they actually negotiated. In fact, within that contract, if you look at the Kafu contract, has very many other elements, including CSR, including marketing support, and all this is variable. If, for example, even the
variable, not negotiable.
Yes, for example, the merchandising bit, it's all negotiable. Within, because it is there, but you can actually say 0 or 2.5% or 1% or 3%. So if you have to take a whole like all the Kafu contracts and just look at supplier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you'll find these are percentages different from this other percentages different, because it's negotiated. That is the part that now comes in. But now one person who had already signed up, or the other person who signs up and all that, it's more of a formalization. For example, if I was to address something like listing fees, one of the biggest headaches that suppliers have, and remember, suppliers are the backbone of retail. They are very important guys. Now, as in, without them, we are nothing. One of the hardest bits of most Kenyan suppliers, if today you had a new factory producing bar soap or something, getting into that shelf becomes a very tricky affair. And in most cases, you'll find suppliers are even willing to pay something chini ya meza. Unajua ile kupata ile ka supply na ka contract,
just so that you get space.
So here comes in Kafu, who says, no, this thing,
let's formalize this thing.
Let's formalize this thing. So now it's formalized.
It's juu ya meza.
Iko juu ya meza.
You shall pay this much.
Yes.
So that you get space.
And other players might actually be saying, hey, guess what? No. For any store that I have, I expect you to give me a 10 for 1.
Okay.
So a different language, or 6 for 1, as in it's a discounted that we are actually negotiating. Or please, for every store that I'm actually creating, because remember, I'm investing in people, investing in real estate, investing in all the equipment, I'm paying deposit for rental period and stuff. Anytime I'm opening a new store, I'm giving you more market. During that particular bit, then also give me maybe extended credit terms for the first invoice.
Okay, so Willie,
so that's where
sorry, so this is what you're saying is that it was or is accepted practice in the market, as it were, that this is something everybody knows happens, more or less.
There's always a negotiated bit. I think the key question here that you're asking ourselves is under this formalized approach, and the competitive needs and edge of requiring yourself to be on that shelf.
Sure.
How it looks like.
Now, if that is understood, because this particular subject of this fine is not the only retailer, but from what Daktari has said here, they're the only ones for which there have been numerous complaints. So if this is accepted practice, why do we then just see one of the retailers have this perennial issue?
Yeah, and I will not want to actually dive into the whole bit, because again, the need to be in the most let's be honest, the most premium malls currently, top 5 stores in the country actually Kafu stores, by virtue of grossing the actual numbers per store. A store like a Sarit Center will actually be doing X number of other smaller other chains number of stores. So they have, as in, the need to be in that space is so much that it becomes so competitive, because remember, these are the ex-Nakumat stores. These are the ex-Nakumat sites that already had a lot of historical, as in missing out.
People knew where to shop.
There are stores that nobody ever wants. You never want to miss out being in a Naivas Westlands. You can never want to miss out being in a Kafusa Reet and also a bit, as in, at any one given point you'll find that there's that whole need and fight.
And that's what Ndu is saying. So that means that you know you have power.
You know you have power, and because of that power that you know you have, then there is a possible penchant then for wanting to wield that power because you know that suppliers will do anything they can to get on your shelves?
That includes, by the more we actually go and open the stores, because it's everybody, it's all the people competing for that same store. Same shelf. As in, that shelf, for example, if you was to take one category, let's take tissue, for example. How many tissue brands do you know in this market? Many tissue brands. By the time which one will you have, which one will you not have? At that particular point, if you all want me, then let's negotiate. See, I have a very nice premium asset. Then also allow me to be, for this particular space, to have a negotiation.
I understand.
And so that negotiation does not become buyer power. It is. I have a good
it's
place.
Leverage.
I've invested in a nice place. So should I just make it easy?
Understood. Wait.
So it's not, but it's leverage.
And my shelf is small.
Now,
yes.
What you're saying, enter the law.
Yes.
Right? And the law, from what I understand, has come in to balance this position that some retailers will inadvertently be in by virtue of the fact of some of the things that you've talked about.
True.
Prime property, prime space, prime location. And if you have a handle on 5 in the city, in the capital city, you're in a good spot, right? So just like you've said, 10 tissue brands are fighting to be on your shelves. It'll put some feathers in your cap. So that what we're saying now, then there is a temptation or you've been given the position where you can actually dictate who does what. But my question is, knowing that, have they then played along the lines that have been previously set by the law?
Yeah. So the question is one. It's just like joining a national school.
Don't get me started.
Not everybody can join that national school. And the question here becomes, when you now agree to the terms that I had, do you now start varying the contract and actually taking me to competition authority?
The terms that you had, that's the issue.
No, but you're signing first. So why are you signing? So you're signing and agreeing to that particular agreement. And then now when you're in and you're saying, no, anytime I'm actually being told to bring someone, I'm already signed.
Really,
I'll be bringing
Dr. even said that even at the point of signing, if the contract that you're offering me is outside of the law, it's illegal from the very beginning, signed or not.
Ab initio, as
ab
lawyers
initio.
would say.
And that is the part that you're saying as retailers. If you're not happy with this, please pass these particular mechanisms. If you're already within the system, there's the committee that has actually been set within, and that particular committee has members of Retail, RETRAC, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Association of Kenya Suppliers. I think there might be 2 other players in there. And within there, you can be able to say, no, we had agreed this man will be paying me after every 30 days. Now he's actually paying me after 45 days.
It sounds like it's akin to the individual who's given testimony under duress. And then they come later and say, actually, and then the law will actually tell you, hold on, under what circumstances did this person tell you what they told you? If the circumstances had been different, would the testimony be different? Is that not what we're saying here? That had it truly been that, the law in itself was not applied when that agreement was being brought up, you can actually then come back and say, you know what? This didn't make sense in terms of how the lines were drawn.
But the thing that has to be asked, so are you saying you didn't understand what you were signing? Are you then saying that they varied the contract after you had signed? What really are you saying?
But the law first and foremost states that it shall be mandatory for us to actually have
an agreement.
Okay. Within the law. An agreement.
So already we have signed. We already signed. Now, why are we changing tact? And to make matters worse, if I can throw in one more last one, which is we now then disagree or agree afterwards, and then we agree, and we actually come back to the authority and say we have agreed, but you still get penalized. So that's where the retailer is actually going in like, okay, so even after that disagreement, because even in the Kenyan law, no one can force a union of 2 people, including marriage.
But what I find strange is, if what we're discussing borders criminality, then the person who created that contract, the one who signed it, should both be culpable because they both committed an offense. You've signed onto something that is not legal, and you have provided something which is not legal to be signed. So essentially, you are both breaking the law.
The law is finding one of them to be a victim.
Victim is
one had buyer power, one coerced, the one with power coerced the other one.
I am actually questioning this concept of buyer power, and I'm saying that in an economy such as ours, where one is allowed free enterprise and you're allowed to trade freely, are we then saying we are abrogating the law of willing buyer, willing seller?
Dr. You can answer that.
All right, let me answer that. Now,
and we've got 40 seconds.
40 seconds. Oh my goodness, and I have so much to say. But anyway, I'll just keep it short. The reality is that what sometimes we call consent is actually obtained under duress. And the code of practice that Willie refers us to, interestingly, raises the issue of duress a total of 5 times and encourages and warns and requires retailers, his members, to stay away from duress. So consent extracted from duress, and we know such situations even in actual life, does not give validity to a contract. My 40 seconds still?
They're over.
They are over. They were short. Those were not 40. Those sounded like 18.
Yeah, sure. But Dr. we thank you very much for joining us today, and Willie as well. Dr. Priscilla Njako is the manager of Buyer Power at the Communication Authority, and Willie Kimani is a lead supermarket sector at Retrack. Time for the news. It's 8 a.m.
Good morning, this is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto has yet again suffered another blow after the Kisumu High Court stopped the public participation exercise on the affordable housing bill. The judge of the court, Sharif Mwanaisha, ordered the suspension of the process until the case presented to the court against the process is heard and determined. This is after the Grassroots Trust Organization filed a case in court to oppose the process on the grounds that the time given to citizens to express their views is too short. The case will be mentioned on the 27th of this month. The latest development comes a few days after President William Ruto reiterated that the government will implement the project without opposition from anyone, as it will create the much needed job opportunities.
Tumesema na ajira haiwezi kupatikana kiholela, lazima ipangwe vile ajira itapatikana. Na ndio nimeweka mpango ya housing. Hiyo mpango ya housing saa hizi nikiongea na nyinyi, kwa ile sites tunaendelea nazo Kenya, tuko na vijana 1120 wanafanya kazi. Na ni jukumu yangu kama rais kuleta usawa katika taifa letu la Kenya. Kila mtu apate nafasi, kila mtu apate mahali pa kujishikilia.
Parts of Kiambu County will experience power outages today. In a statement, Kenya Power said the interruptions will occur from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The areas to have power interruptions in Kiambu County include Makutano, Konambaya, Rubiru, Goliba, and adjacent areas. The Secretary General of Workers' Union in the sugar industry, Francis Wangara, has asked leaders and farmers to support the government's efforts to revive Mumias sugar factory. Speaking in Mumias, Wangara asked those who have problems with the management of the factory to resolve their differences without filing cases in court. He said that the move will provide the right opportunity for the factory to run its operations without distractions.
Kile naweza kusema nimeshukuru kwa sababu viwanda vya sukari nyingi vimefunguliwa. Saa hizi zinafanya kazi, ingawaje zingine zilichelewa kuanza, lakini sasa zimeanza kufanya kazi. Mumias Sugar Company imeanza na inaendelea, na vile mlisikia president akisema hataki mambo ya watu kupeleka mambo ya kesi ya Mumias mahakamani. Apili yangu naweza kuambia watu hao ni kwamba ambaye ana jambo lolote kuhusiana na Mumias Sugar Company aende huko, wakae chini na management waone vile ataweza kusuluhisha. Haina maana watu kuendelea kwenda kotini kusuhia kuendelea kwa hiyo kampuni.
Wangara has also asked the managers of Mumias Sugar Factory to involve farmers through farmers organizations to strengthen sugarcane farming in the area.
Na management ya Mumias nayo iamushe section zote zifanye kazi. Autogrowers waamushe ifanye kazi, section zote zifanye kazi ili waweze kupata njia ya kuunganisha na wakulima. Wasipokuwa na autogrowers companies ambazo zinaweza kuwasaidia, hawatapata link hawa na wakulima kwa urahisi. Because wasipo embrace mambo ya cane development, hawatakuwa na miwa. Lazima ungane na wakulima, wapande miwa ndio watakuwa na miwa, kwa sababu wakulima wengi walikuwa wameng'oa miwa. wao wanapanda mahindi, lakini wakipata funzo mzuri na kuwa encourage watapanda miwa na kampuni zitaendelea.
Residents of Nyeri County have been advised to register to be able to benefit from mosquito nets in order to fight malaria. This is according to the Health CEC Bernard Biner, who says there is need for all residents of the county to be registered so that they can be supplied with the nets come early next year. Speaking during the launch of usability program in Nyamira, Biner also advised residents to use the nets for the intended purposes.
Ni nawasihi wananchi wa Nyamira kwa ujumla muhakikishe kwamba watu wetu ama maofisa wetu wanapokuja kwenu mufanye hiyo kujiandikisha, na kujiandikisha unahitaji tu kipande na simu yako ili munufaike kupata hizo mosquito nets. Jambo la muhimu ni kwamba hizo net mupate kuzitumia kwa njia inayofaa, kwa sababu ukipatiwa net sio ya kuanika mahindi ama kuzuia vifaranga wasichukuliwe na mwewe.
Water Director Trans Nzoia County Dorothy Nyukuri has said that the county government needs about 800 million shillings to complete the Kiptogot Kolongolo water project. Nyukuri said that if the project is completed, it will benefit more than 200,000 families with clean and safe water.
Sehemu za kwanza na Endebess, you are aware we have Kiptogot Kolongolo water project. That project is enough to serve those areas. The only problem is that we need about 800 million for last mile connectivity, which we don't have. But again, we are looking at the national government to help us implement that and ensure that water is piped into homes.
She also said that the county government aims to drill boreholes in educational institutions, markets and areas where water pipes cannot reach. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing police of conmanship, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
All right, here we are looking at traffic still heavy on Haile Selassie. Inbound traffic is doing a little bit more than in outbound, but it's still heavy nonetheless. As you're getting towards the railway station, coming in from Kamkunji at the roundabout, heavy traffic. Jogoo Road not doing too badly, but Landis Road, as probably will be for the next couple of days, will be madness. What's on the other side? Bus station. What happens at bus station? Buses park. And they do what? They travel. Lots of traffic here today, and we're looking at that probably multiplying over the next coming days, so watch out for that. If you'd have no business around bus station, use an alternate route to get into the CBD, because this is crazy. We're also looking at traffic then coming in on the Thika Superhighway, but just past Survey through towards Pangani, and then after that you're fine. If you're coming out of Westlands, no thing. If you're coming off of Limuru Road, everybody went on holiday a minute ago, so no traffic there either. Coming into traffic hour in no time, let's talk then, but in the meantime, we're keeping things moving. That's the business that we're doing today. Talk to us on SpiceFM KE on X.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
8 minutes
the
after
only
8.
way
How
to
are you
start
doing?
your
Welcome
day.
to the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. This is the Situation Room. It's the 21st of December 2023. Yesterday we had a conversation with the PS for diaspora. And she was telling us one of the reasons why they held the Diaspora Investment Conference in Nairobi this year, last week, was because this is a season when very many diasporians, as she called them, are coming back home. Very many. They're coming home. This is the time. I got a friend who's coming back home as well. I think he's coming this weekend. He lives in Boston. He's been there for a long time. What about 20 years? He's coming back home this weekend.
So what's wrong with you now?
He's coming to visit. He's coming home. He's coming. He is from Yadaro.
I can see he's already giving you a bit of this accent.
Oh yeah,
He's from Yadaro.
he's from Yadaro. You know, cash crop in Yadaro ni Mawaru. So he called me up and told me, Eric, I'm coming home with my family this weekend. Can you organize for me logistics of going home? I told him, brother, I got you covered. I got you. Because, you know, he's wondering how is he going to put his family. They haven't been to Kenya, can't put them in the matatus to go to Nyandarua. So what's he going to do? You know what? I've got him sorted because Maramoja Taxi is here. I just told him, don't worry. There's a taxi hailing up called Maramoja. If you get here, we'll get it sorted. You just go download Maramoja on your Play Store, App Store. You pick the blue one, you have it there, and then you hail a taxi when you want to. And you can pair with the driver that you like, and go. And it's cheaper. It's the cheapest one in the market, in this Kenyan market. It's very good for drivers. If you actually load money onto the wallet, you get a 50% bonus immediately. It's a good thing, isn't it? Even though he's been in the US and he makes a lot of money, he also still wants to save a coin. It's a good thing. Absolutely. So I told him, Maramoja Taxi app is the way. You arrive at the airport, they pick you up at the JKIA, they take you to your local hotel, maybe you stay there, you freshen up, and then the following day they take you to Nyadaro, you go visit with people there, folks, and the day you want to come back to Nairobi, you just call the guy. He comes and picks you up in Nyadaro, brings you to Nairobi, and then to the airport.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maramoja.
You go back to Boston with the family, happy, hassle-free. It's the best thing to do.
I agree.
And he told me, I think he got a point.
He agreed with me.
I think he got a point. He agreed with me. So Maramoja already has a client.
From Boston, no
From
less.
Boston. From Boston. 20 years in the US is a long time. It's a long time. So that is sorted. And then I also told him, when you come here, people will be coming to you, brother, so-and-so's cousin, he's in school, they need school fees. And I also told him, Kiwi. Ebu, tell him why Kiwi.
Because school fees coming in January, and folks are wondering how on earth are we going to do this, whether you're coming from Boston or where. It's necessary for you to send folks or kids back to school at whatever level. So Kiwi's been doing the business for years and says, you know what, we've been stepping up, we've been shining, let's keep doing it in 2024. How are we going to pay school fees? Well, this is how. You walk into any supermarket or any duka shop, wherever you will find this new logo Kiwi, you will buy a tin, whether it's the 40 grams, 80 grams, buy one. Flip the lid, or rather, pop the lid under, you'll find a code. You will then dial *459 *5 hash, input your code instantly, data, airtime. Also, you get into the draw. Guess what? 4 people every week, 35,000 shillings towards school fees. It's fantastic because all you did was buy a kid of tin of Kiwi.
And that's it.
Just like that.
It's a good thing. Something historic happened on Monday this week. And this was at State House, Nairobi. We witnessed the signing of a new economic partnership agreement between Kenya and the European Union. The president of the EU was in the country. Did you know that?
Yes.
What's her name? I never get to pronounce her name. Ursula von der Leyen?
Wait. Just Ursula is good.
Yeah, Ursula is good.
For now, I'll tell you in a minute.
President Ursula was in the country. Okay? And Kenya signed an economic partnership agreement with the EU. The person who was, behind pulling all the strings and making sure that this EU pact is concrete is the Principal Secretary in the State Department for Trade, Alfred Ombudo Kobudo. He's our guest. Good morning, Alfred.
Good morning, Eric, and good morning, everyone else, and good morning, Kenya.
Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Thank you very much.
You look well relaxed.
For now.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is at least you got that.
It's a good way to start.
You got that across, over the line.
Yes.
Next, you're picking up something else.
Yes.
We still have the American one also to talk about.
That's right.
It's a big one.
Yes.
Welcome. The city has the day's proverb. This week, his proverbs are from one country in Africa. Mm-hmm. Every week, he has a proverb proverbs from one country in Africa. Which country this week, City?
We are in the East African country of Kenya.
Yeah. Hey.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Not the Kingdom of Kenya.
Not the Kingdom of Kenya.
But the Republic.
Not the Protectorate of Kenya. The country of Kenya. Republic of Kenya.
Right.
Yes, the proverbs we've had until yesterday were all in the English language. And we felt, surely, we are in Kenya talking about Kenyan proverbs. Why not have one in the Kiswahili language?
Mm-hmm.
And here it is. Makali ya jicho yashinda wembe.
Makali ya jicho yashinda wembe.
Yes.
Bwana PS.
Yes.
What's your interpretation of this proverb?
Okay. Makali ya jicho yashinda
wembe.
Yashinda wembe.
Yes.
Well, I think when I reflect on it, it probably means that that which we think, that which we manifest, that which we originate in our mind can be very good or very devastating, more than even a razor blade. And therefore, I think it calls upon all of us to say, look, let's mind what we think. Let's have ideas, but let's also know that ideas cut both ways, because like a wembe has two sides, doesn't it? So I think that's really what comes to my mind. And there are many sayings, I think, that sort of follow that trajectory. I heard of one, I can't remember where it was from, that says that a strategy or an idea can build communities or send people to the grave, more than any army can. So I think that's really just an expression that reminds us just how powerful our minds are and how it's important for everything we do, including the economic partnership agreement, which we have negotiated and which we look forward to bringing prosperity to this nation.
Very good. Very good perspective. Very good perspective in that proverb. Now getting straight into the EPA. So give us a background of this economic partnership agreement.
So first and foremost, I think it's important to give the economic partnership agreement its correct name.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the long title of the agreement, it says it's an agreement between Kenya, a member of the East African Community, on the one part, and the European Union. What does this mean? It means that at its core, this is an agreement which has been largely negotiated based on our common principles as the East African Community, which was negotiated as East Africa Community and finalized more or less in 2014. And since then, we have had a need to ensure that this was finalized. Some of our brothers and sisters who are a bit slower to do this, and Kenya took the leadership in finalizing this agreement, but which leaves it open for the other EAC countries also to accede when they're ready.
Okay. So the negotiations started as the East Africa Community.
Correct.
And then at some point, the other countries in the East African Community were not moving as fast as they had been moving. And Kenya felt the need to continue running.
Yes.
Or to inject a kick in the final 2 laps.
Correct.
Of the 10,000 meter race.
Correct.
Why did Kenya decide to leave the others behind?
Kenya did not leave the others behind. Kenya is no longer an LDC, or least developed country. And because of that, there are certain imperatives around what developed countries, for example, allow LDCs to be able to import into their countries on duty-free terms, on very generous terms. But as a country grows and as you move towards middle income, then the expectation is that you stop relying too much on the freebies and you start having less room to have agreements that are based on you just being an LDC. And therefore, Kenya had the necessity to make sure that it had an agreement that ensures that its goods are still able to access large markets like the European Union on duty-free and quota-free basis. That's really the crux of why Kenya had to move ahead. If you recall, around 2018 or 2017 or thereabouts, when Brexit happened, there was a period there where, because we didn't have an agreement with the UK, our flowers could not be exported duty-free. And this sort of had to be fixed fairly quickly. Luckily, the European Union, even after we became we exited LDC status, provided a temporary market regulation that allowed us to continue exporting our goods on duty-free terms. It was a narrower set of goods, and it was a temporary instrument that could be withdrawn at any time. And this kind of uncertainty was not good for investment, it was not good for industry, and therefore the necessity was for us to ensure that we have a permanent agreement that allows us duty-free, quota-free access into the European Union.
Do the other countries in the East African community currently enjoy that duty-free access to the EU?
They enjoy a restricted access, not encompassing all the goods, but they exercise this because they are LDCs, and therefore they are able to export on such terms. But this is a one-sided instrument that can be withdrawn at any time. And it does not also signal that one now has arrived to a status which is one that is encouraging investment, encouraging industry, and all these things.
On the other side,
yes,
does the EU have free access into these markets within the EAC?
No. So that's one of the features of the economic partnership agreement that we negotiated and signed, is that it is a very generous, I would say, agreement to the developmental side. We have gotten 100% duty-free, quota-free access. Quota-free access means that not only does your goods get there without duties, but you can take as many as you want. No limits as to that. But on the side of the EU, we have been less generous, if I can put it that way. The first thing is that there are a number of goods which are permanently excluded from duty-free access into Kenya. And those are goods which we considered were of a sensitive nature, mainly relating to agriculture, mainly relating to industries whereby we think we can start developing over the next 10, 15 or 25 years. And so those ones are permanently excluded from this agreement. These are things like in the sugar industry, wheat, teas, fruits, butter, fish, dairy stuff, those kind of sectors which are also closely connected to some of the sectors we are growing, like the dairy sector, agro-processing, and so on and so forth. So in this set of goods, those are permanently excluded. Then there are others which we believe that in about 25 years, with investment and industry developing, we should be more or less fine. And so these are those areas whereby over the next 25 years, we shall be abolishing the tariffs in respect to the European Union. And then there are also a set which will be abolished in 15 years, which are also mostly connected to sectors that are far more complex, and that maybe we still need to import a lot there. And those which are eliminated immediately are actually for our benefit. And these are things like machinery for infrastructure, railway track fixtures, firefighting vehicles, concrete mixers, places whereby we need equipment in order to progress in things like construction, in agricultural development, and so on and so forth. Don't forget that in any case, a lot of what the Europeans import into Kenya is mostly machinery, and many of this is also agricultural machinery. Many of these are already zero rated for duties.
Can we look at the agreement? A lot of times, and of course, then it goes into, unfortunately, sometimes political conversations about really how much negotiating muscle Kenya then did have on the table. Are we looking at 50-50 QPP, where everybody was saying, look, this is what we bring, this is what we take, and on the other side as well, the European Union saying, okay, absolutely, Kenya is a sovereign state, this is what we would ask for, this is what you take. Was it equal in terms of its negotiation?
A negotiation is a negotiation, and everybody puts their best foot forward. Given that we started this off as East African community, it was probably the European Union that had a disadvantage. Because we had 5 or so partner states on the table and the EU on the other side. And therefore, we were able to have those conversations in a way whereby we were not only looking at Kenya's interests, but Burundi's interests, Tanzania's interests, and so forth. Trade negotiations are a fairly complex area. It involves a lot of knowledge of law, a lot of knowledge on agriculture, on industry, and so on and so forth. I do believe that Kenya has matured to the extent whereby we have some of the best professionals available that can negotiate an agreement practically with any country in this world.
You know, as I heard you speak, Bonapiers, something came to mind. So, are we saying that the agreements we've signed with the EU, well, we signed one with the UK as well at some time, we signed another one with the US, are we saying that these are not in abrogation with any understandings we had for the Africa Free Trade agreements, the sovereign community, that in no way do they infringe on these other agreements?
No, they do not infringe on these agreements. I'll give you the example of the EU agreement itself. Where we have expressly, as East African community, agreed that we want to get into this relationship with the EU. We negotiated together. 99% of the agreement remains as it is, and therefore it reflects that community spirit. In 2021, when Kenya said, look, if we continue in a situation whereby we don't have an agreement and we are not an LDC, we'll be in a lot of trouble for our exports. And so the heads of states of the East African community at a summit in 2021, I believe in November, said those who are ready can proceed, and those who are not yet ready can proceed when they are ready. There are countries within the EAC that are going to leave LDC status soon. Tanzania is one of them. I do expect that in very short order, you will see many more coming up to accede to this agreement. You mentioned African Continental Free Trade Area and other agreements. There's a principle in the World Trade Organization that allows countries to basically get into trade agreements, provided that they conform to WTO principles. And so you can get into an agreement with the EU, you can continue doing AFCTA, you can continue expanding your markets, provided you do not derogate WTO rules.
You know, I find it curious when you also mentioned that the original agreement we had was disadvantageous to the EU.
Not entirely, but it was a generous agreement.
Generous, because I mean, I was going to smile all the way to next week, contemplating it, saying that, you know, this is a first.
We got them.
No, it's a first, because the countries negotiate for things that benefit them.
That's true.
And a trading bloc like the EU would be no exception to the rule. Let's talk about the advantages. What are these advantages that we're going to have?
The advantages are plenty. I think the immediate advantage that we get, probably the most significant one, is certainty of market. What does certainty of market mean? It means that once you know that you're able to export on permanent terms, because economic partnership agreements are permanent instruments.
No, just explain permanent before we continue so that we understand.
Permanent is until the last sunrise of the world, basically.
So this is not...
Into perpetuity.
Into perpetuity.
Okay.
So that's basically it. But, of course, it has provisions where you can modify, you can even exit and so forth. So it's permanent until it's not permanent. So what this basically means is that we are now able to signal to the world that we have access to a $18 trillion economy, 27 countries, a single set of regulations. That's a big impact on our investment signaling to the world. Sorry. Now, once we are able to do that, then we are also then able to have a better basis to advance industry. Because if you are telling people that you have access to a market that's $18 trillion, 27 countries, a single set of regulations with no tariffs, then people from all over the world that want to get into the European Union are going to come to Kenya. I'll give you an example. Currently, we are exporting very little textile and apparel into the European Union. We're exporting most of it to the United States, probably about $500 million. There are countries like Bangladesh that have been exporting about $40 billion worth of textile and apparel into the European Union. Bangladesh is a least developing country, but in 2026, it's going to graduate from LDC status. What does that mean? It means that and sometimes in a sector such as the textile and apparel, the margin you make is actually the tariff exclusion. So if you're going to get excluded 30%, maybe that's your margin.
Yeah.
Now, if we have this kind of access, then we are an immediate magnet for factories, maybe in places like that want to continue exporting using the same relationships that they've built in the EU. And we can have conversations with them to locate in Kenya, create 100, 200, 300,000 jobs, and continue exporting into the EU. And that's just one example. There are tens and tens and tens of sectors whereby we can actually do manufacturing with the eye of taking things to the EU. The reverse is also extremely important. There are European, American, Japanese companies that want to export into EAC and Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Because of this relationship, if they can, they are now able to increasingly look at Kenya as a place where they can do manufacturing in order to get into the rest of the East African community. There are many more benefits. It would take the entire studio time if I were to
preach on the benefits.
But let me preach on at least maybe 2 or 3 more. Kenya is a champion now on issues of climate change. Kenya is championing a more sustainable world whereby climate finance is done more equitably and so on and so forth. That has been a very clear clarion call by His Excellency the President. One of the ways in which Kenya can benefit from the climate conversation is trade. European consumers are very more careful about knowing where goods they're consuming are coming from, how they're produced, and so on and so forth. Kenya has a chance not just to export to the EU, but to export sustainably produced goods where the energy is clean and the processes have been done properly, and those products attract a 15, 20, 25%, 30% premium in the market. It means that we can actually profit from the environmental agenda, which we share in common with the European Union. And finally, we also commit to raise our standards in as far as how we manage customs procedures, how we manage trade logistics. We commit to ensuring that we are observing worker rights, or we are not using inappropriate ways to produce things and so forth. That sends a signal not just to the European Union, but to the whole world, that we have a regulatory system that allows us to produce things that can go anywhere. So that's also part of what I think we get. And then there's the cooperation that comes from it, whereby we work with the European Union to improve all of these areas over that time. So I think it's a sweetheart deal. I wouldn't compare it to
the status before.
To the status before. And it's certainly something that we look forward to implementing.
Let's take a break on this. Now, 26 to 9, Alfred Kambudo is the Principal Secretary for Trade in the Ministry of MITI. We're asking ourselves, which comes first, investment or industry? The Ministry of?
It's investments, trade and industry.
Okay.
But as a trade person, you know, we always say that most investors in this world start off as traders.
So for you, it should be MTII.
It's meaty.
Okay. As we smile into Christmas and as we smile listening to what we've gotten signed off at the Kenya-EU Economic Partnership Agreement, remember, smiling is important. Colgate are saying smile and come. We shall give you free dental checkup. Where are they going to be this weekend, Ndu?
Greenspan Mall. That's the Naivas actually at the Greenspan on the
23rd and 24th.
24th. That's this weekend, Saturday and Sunday.
The other weekend?
The other weekend is
30th, 31st. Yes. They will be at Naivas Buruburu. Okay? Go there, get free dental checkup courtesy of Colgate. And they're also telling you, Colgate, if you come to our Facebook page, that's Colgate Kenya on Facebook, you'll also find where else we're having this free dental checkups. Back in a moment. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If you go out of this country and come back the same person, then you have a problem. Buy land, 1 million. Put it there for 5 years. What's the purpose?
It'll have increased in value.
No, that's the thing. That's darkness. You know, that's an eclipse. You don't do that.
I hope you don't believe that a hustler is a poor person or that all hustlers are poor. I've seen that conversation.
Tell us, who is a hustler?
So who's a hustler? Hustler is a person who is making a living through hard work.
Corruption in Kenya is a political accusation. The people who are actually corrupt are not pointed fingers at.
Kenya is not free. Kenya imeshikwa na mateka. It's under siege.
Have you seen that lodge on Nyeri Road? Very high fence. You can't even
Windows
sleep inside.
up near the ceiling.
Yes. And if you walk that midnight, you see bats the size of cows.
And when it rains, it doesn't rain on that building.
Yes.
When you're at All Saints and it's raining, it doesn't rain on that building.
The things people will believe.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Sunny conditions in Nairobi is 18 degrees. We'll see highs of 25. We'll see highs of 27 in Nakuru, where it's sunny at 18, 19 and sunny in Nyeri with highs of 25. And we're looking into a sunny Eldoret at 17. It'll go to highs of 25 and lows of 14. Into Mombasa, the sun is up at 29. We'll see highs of 33 and highs of 32 in a sunny Malindi at 29. Kisumu is sunny at 23 with highs of 30, and we'll see highs of 30 as well in a sunny Kakamega currently at 22. Out into Kampala, it's partly sunny at 23, and Dar es Salaam is sunny at 28. And we're looking at sunny conditions at 24 in Johannesburg. It is 28 degrees and sunny in Mogadishu. We'll see highs of 33 and highs of 24 in a sunny Addis Ababa at 17. Lagos, Harmattan skies at 24 with highs of 33, and it's sunny at 24, rather cloudy at 24. In Kinshasa, we'll see highs of 29 and lows of 24.
Welcome to SpiceFM, the best exclusive radio station bringing you the best mix of the best music ever.
Yikes, who jinxed Haile Selassie for the last couple of days? Traffic has been bumper to bumper, now it's spilling over towards Uhuru Highway, Gong Road, all of that. Ngong Road. Very, very busy traffic. It's also coming in heavy from Kamkunji at the roundabout. Jogo Road not so much right now at least. On the Thika Superhighway, you're fine all the way through and through until you get to Pangani Underpass. There's a smidgen of traffic there as you're getting towards that junction that goes forks through towards Muranga Road or then Wangari Maathai. Apart from that, nothing. Muthaiga looking good. I said everybody, they've shut down, gone on holiday. Folks are usually traversing that road, not doing it this time. Apart from that, we're not having a traffic issue. Let's see what happens as we go through the morning. If you find a good route, would you let us know? SpiceFM KE on X.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.
Right. Kenya has signed an economic partnership agreement with the European Union, and our guest, Alfred Kambudo, the Principal Secretary for Trade, is here to explain to us the ins and outs of this particular deal.
So, P.S., what will we see? This, marriage made in heaven, they'll say you see fruits. Mm-hmm. Grandma will come knocking on your door in 9 months. What are the fruits of this marriage? How will we see pressure? So there's pressure, isn't it?
Correct.
What are we going to see manifested as a result of this sweetheart deal, as you call it, that will say, okay, yeah, for real, something is happening here. We should feel something, isn't it?
Yes.
What will we see?
I'll give you a few examples. I think this agreement is quite good for trade and investment and industry. Number one, we have about we slaughter about 2.5 to 3 million livestock every year. We have a situation whereby much of these hides and skins are going to waste. We have a budding leather industry. There are companies that have come up in this sector. Now, if you look at Europe, Italy and Germany are one of the biggest consumers of finished leather products and articles of leather for industrial purposes, but also for bags, straps of watches, upholstery as part of furniture, and so on and so forth. This agreement signals that anybody who invests into making articles of leather has a market in Europe that basically affords them more or less free entry into that market. We can expect the leather sector to grow because of this. Already we have companies that are certified to supply to companies like Zara. If you look at Alfarama, and if you look at all these other companies, that is happening. We also have German investors. I think there's one in Kwale that is basically already making shoes using hides and skins from here and taking them to Germany. So you do expect sectors like that to grow, and as we become more familiar with the buyer tastes on the other side, that could happen. Secondly is agro-processing. We do take a lot of agricultural products into the EU, a lot of fruits and vegetables. It is time for us now to start processing these into juices, other preparations, and so on and so forth. Now that an investor would know that our access into this market is permanent until the last sun rises, then they will be able to go into banks to look for more money. If I go to a bank and tell them that I need a 15-year plan, it has to be backed by revenues that you can foresee for 15 or 30 years. And then that is also the second thing that's going to happen. Another thing that's going to happen is that we are going to see a lot more development cooperation between us and the European Union. Nowadays, the political imperative is look after your friends, look after your closer friends even better. So we have signaled that we are prepared for a long-term relationship, and we also expect that the development cooperation, which already the EU is one of the largest, should actually increase even further. They have a medium term coming up of the program with Kenya, and already they have said, let's deepen this further, let's increase our development cooperation in trade, and so on and so forth. So that's somehow what I see coming through. But most importantly, is that farmer that does snow peas in Kieni on a quarter-acre plot now knows that probably they have a chance of exporting this over a long time. The person that's developing deep-sea fishing in Lamu, where we have barracuda, we have all that, has a chance of investing more. Our people in the flower sector who put up a very beautiful flower wall in State House on Monday as a thank you, basically now know that they continue having this market.
Apart from the duty free in terms of customs duty, are there any other taxes that companies that set up here that sell into these European markets will enjoy?
Well,
apart from just the access to market that is now the customs.
Yes. And that is actually, that's why MITI is MITI, because it's not just about trade. It's about investment, it's about industry.
Yeah.
So at MITI, we do roll out programs that are supposed to encourage investment and also industry. So people could easily, for example, base in special economic zones if they want to re-export, and therefore they would benefit also from a lot of reductions in terms of when they need to start, for example, paying corporate taxes. There's a lag on that, and several other such sweeteners. And therefore, somebody coming in here will get a market, but if they're in a special economic zone, they'll be able to get considerations in as far as a lead period for their taxation.
Yeah.
They will be able to benefit from so-called horizontal infrastructure, whereby we are putting together special economic zones whereby the roads are going to be built and that kind of stuff. They will also benefit from geothermal energy, and we never say this enough, because we are a country that's already 92-93% renewable energy, and a company that comes here doesn't just get market access into places like the European Union, but they can also manufacture using geothermal energy, which is green, which is valued, and which will put a premium on the cost of the product
that they sell.
Correct. So there are several advantages.
Concern has been raised that this basically just gives access to existing European companies or investors to come into this country, get labor, leave us with nothing and take a lot of, with little, but take a lot of the benefits to the European countries. So, for example, a company that is registered and based in Italy, that is dealing with leather products, comes and sets up at the special economic zone in Naivasha that supports them to manufacture those same leather watch straps and shoes and belts and bags at Naivasha using Kenyan labor, which is more affordable compared to what they would get there. Then they're not paying corporate tax in Kenya. They are getting access into Italy, duty-free into Italy. They brought in their manufacturing equipment into the country, paid zero duty. So basically they have manufactured here. They've used our energy, paid a little bit of money into the energy, which has also been subsidized because, they're in a special economic zone. And they have taken the money back to Italy. Is that a legitimate concern?
Well, it doesn't sound quite so, because let's break it down even further, because you've been fairly detailed in your hypothesis. If this guy comes in from Italy, he is probably going to come with some machinery that can make maybe nice buttons or nice stitches or whatever, and they will need to get the labor that you're describing.
Yeah.
They will have to train these people on how to make those kind of stitches and cuts and trims and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So they're already imparting skill. This will be a business that is probably going to occupy 40,000 square feet, maybe. What's exactly going to happen? They're going to be paying rent, or they're going to build something. So that's going to be a bit good for the construction sector. But most importantly, they'll be hiring 10 or 20,000 people. These 10 or 20,000 people will have a livelihood. They will take their kids to school, and they will also be paying pay as you earn, which will also give government a little bit of revenue for development projects. But they will have transporters transporting their stuff. If it's a leather thing, they will be buying hides and skins. They'll be buying chemicals. They'll be buying industrial salts. They'll be having cooperatives all over the country aggregating in sheds and bandas to bring in their hides and skins. They will actually be creating several industries which we are going to be benefiting from. So by the time this person is taking their things to be exported back to Italy, we are also going to be enjoying more foreign exchange, so that then we are able to balance on our exports and our imports. Now, sacrificing a little bit of corporate tax in exchange for what we get on pay as you earn, in exchange for jobs, in exchange for supplies, in exchange for that person who wakes up to transport, in exchange for that herder that is able to basically get maybe 6,000 or 7,000 shillings more from their hides and skins. That replication is extremely important. And in fact, many countries that have grown have used the same model. Dubai, which is now one of the leading global forces in services, basically created an incentive structure for people to go into that country and stay in that country. I think that's where Kenya needs to go.
Would there be an opportunity then for these people who have acquired this technical skill and knowledge, having worked for this Italian conglomerate in Naivasha, to set up their own and still have access competitively in Italy?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. In fact, over time, that's how capabilities develop. These people will also be able to have a niche market that the big conglomerate will not have. They may be able to set up a smaller industry where maybe things are being done by hand, where there's a story to tell about where the thing is being made. They can tell a story about the culture or make artifacts that reflect their culture, and then they can sell this at an even higher premium. And one of the things then that we are committed to do in this agreement is in the trade facilitation side and the custom side for even small businesses to be able to export more easily and without all of these strictures. So dynamically, the person who starts off as somebody who's teaching in an Italian conglomerate may end up being somebody who can make 10 bags a month of their own. The stitching may not be exactly the same, but the story would be priceless.
Okay.
And many European consumers, they do not just buy goods, they buy the story.
The expectation then, finally, would be that among the strategies that MITI is developing would be to ensure that we have Kenyan startups that are able to set up and access this market. I'm giving the example of the AGOA structure that we've had.
Yes.
And the textile manufacturing that happens in this EPZs. How many Kenyan companies have established, originally Kenyan, that are taking advantage of AGOA? Not companies from elsewhere that have set up EPZ set up at EPZ to access the American market. Has there been a deliberate strategy that says, since the beginning of AGOA, we've actually increased the number of Kenyan companies that are in the apparel sector that are then selling directly or accessing the American market? Would there be a same kind of conversation with this particular one for the EU?
A very important question, and I'm glad you asked that. Already, we are having lots of support to track what small businesses are being able to take into Europe and to support them. And I'll share with you just two examples of support which the European Union is providing also because of this agreement. There is the Business Environment and Export Promotion Program called BEEP, which is more than about 25 million euros over a few years, that basically is working with local small entrepreneurs to help them understand what the EU market wants, to connect them to buyers, to help them understand the rules of importation and the quality standards required, to help them with all those issues that they need to do in order to export into that market. I mean, how generous would somebody be to get into a trade agreement with you and immediately put money to help you get goods into their market? I think that's
the
quite
question
simple.
is, what does our government do to make sure that we maximize these opportunities?
We are investing not just in ensuring that our trade regulations and our export procedures are up to scratch, but we are also putting up the infrastructure for that. I'll share with you one example. The Kenya Ports Authority has now what they are calling a green channel. We know that we need to get goods to markets as cheaply as possible and as ambient as possible. Air travel nowadays emits a lot of carbon, and our network, of course, could improve. So what are we doing? We are using the sea to basically start taking products that previously could only go by air. And using this, we are now, for example, taking flowers to Amsterdam by ship that arrives after about 3 or 4 days. You just make sure that there's nitrogen inside and that the flower blooms very slowly when it's in there, and it gets there when it's ready. So we are also, as a government, taking all of these measures in infrastructure, in the rules and procedures to make sure that we are able to access these markets as well. Then we are working with the development partners to then understand those markets and support our entrepreneurs to get into those markets.
Is Kenya as a market generally, when we're looking at, because a lot of this, I would assume, also based on what you've said, is product based. There are things that are being manufactured here, there are things that are being grown. Would you say that in its entirety, or is there work that needs to be done? Is Kenya prepared then to deliver? Because there's demand. There's demand on the other end of the spectrum. So here, which unfortunately sometimes when we look at some of these agreements, then we find that not enough preparation has been done on this side for the demand that's required on the other side. Is Kenya primed at this point? And if not, what work needs to be done and what timelines are we looking at to deliver?
Excellent. Kenya is primed, I believe. Lots of work needs to be done in order to get a bigger slice of the pie. You know, there are two things that count: is what's the size of the pie and what's my slice of that pie. So when you negotiate a trade agreement, you're trying to cook a bigger pie, right? Your export strategy is what the slice of that pie you're able to get after baking it, right? So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. We need to, for example, ensure that our exporters have cheaper sources of finance, for trade finance. We need to ensure that they are able to negotiate commercial agreements out there in a way that doesn't disadvantage them, and so on and so forth. But are we ready? Yes. And not just us, but this agreement basically can also benefit the rest of the region. So do we have enough supplies? If we don't have enough supplies, we can basically import from other East African community country raw materials that we can also take to these places after adding value, and so on and so forth. Lots of work needs to be done. Any developing country needs to do that, but I think that we have started putting together the building blocks for that.
You know, let me tell you where my mind has gone to. If what Bwana PS is telling us works exactly as he has said it, then one could argue that Kenya is heading towards what is referred to an economic takeoff stage. Now, we tend to use the word in Kenya to describe such things, benchmarking. Which country are we benchmarking with? Which country has followed this path that we have followed, we are now following, and has actually arrived at that point where they've taken off?
Very, very important question. Costa Rica, about 30 years ago, got, on the basis of a trade agreement with the United States, Intel and Windows, the so-called Wintel combination. They started making microchips in Costa Rica. because of this agreement. Over time, Costa Rica then developed science courses, engineers, people who understand semiconductors and so on and so forth, with the result that Costa Rica then broadly managed to get into manufacturing as a country. And interestingly enough, also invested a lot on environmental sustainability, such that one of the two things you know about Costa Rica is how it developed manufacturing and environmental sustainability, and that arose from a trade agreement, and it arose from doing something like this. I'll give you another example. Dubai, which is part of the United Arab Emirates, they looked at the ability for them to access different markets, but then be able to do value addition there as a basis for that, and to create jobs around there. We want to ensure that we work along that line of value addition just like they have done. And we do not just want to get raw materials from Kenya, we want to get raw materials from East Africa, we want to get raw materials from all over the world, so that then value addition happens here. That's another place whereby I think I can benchmark on. But when I speak of Dubai, something comes to mind, which I think it's important for Kenyans to know. One of the areas that we are going to negotiate further with the EU is on trade in services. And that way we'll be able to also not just take goods, but we'll have our services people do jobs there and so on and so forth, and that will be good for us.
Okay, you paint a good picture, man. Hopeful, isn't you?
He will come back.
He will. Alfred Kombudo, Principal Secretary, State Department for Trade, has been our guest talking about the Kenya-EU Economic Partnership Agreement. Keep it here for more conversations. 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is News. I am Dennis Aseto. A section of leaders from Kiambu County have asked the government to come clear on the acquisition of thousands of acres of land in Ruiru. This comes after residents expressed fear of being evicted from the land estimated to be over 3,000 acres and located at Gekomari area, where most of them have lived for decades. Locals raised concern after a contractor started opening up roads and resurveying the area Sunday last week without a public participation forum, while a local administrator is said to have told those who have developed their parcels of land as they will be compensated. These raised eyebrows among the property owners, as many of them have title deeds. Led by Ruiru MP Simon Kengara and Gatongora Ward MCA Dan Gitau, the leader said the government has not made clear whether it plans to acquire the portion for the affordable housing project. And police in Juja, Kiambu County have arrested two men for allegedly abducting a woman and stealing over 645,000 shillings. The pair, Laban Chomba Muthini and Peter Mugera Maburi, is said to have robbed the woman, blindfolded her and abandoned her at Githingiri Estate near Thika Greens, Gatanga in Murang'a County. A statement by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations revealed that the suspects were arrested after the victim filed a police report. The woman told the DCI that her attackers were three people, two men and a woman, who ambushed her while on the roadside and whisked her into their vehicle before robbing her of the aforementioned amount. Police are searching for a man suspected to have butchered his two sons over marital disputes before fleeing in Kiawambeu village, Murang'a County. The suspect, James Gitau, who is a secondary school teacher, is said to have separated from his wife 6 months ago due to domestic issues. It is alleged that Tuesday he picked up his two sons, aged 5 and 2, claiming he wanted to spend the night with them. The 5-year-old was an ECDE learner, while the 2-year-old was living with his aunt. Residents said before he committed the heinous offense at 11 p.m., Gitau called his estranged wife through his mother's mobile phone for over 10 minutes. And voting in the Democratic Republic of Congo's high-stakes presidential election has been marred by lengthy delays and claims of fraud. Some polling stations did not open all day, leading to widespread frustration. Voting has been extended to today in some areas. 4 opposition candidates have called for the election to be cancelled. One of them described the poll as total chaos following violence during the campaign. President Felix Tshisekedi faces 18 candidates as he seeks a second term. Some 44 million people were eligible to cast their ballots following a campaign dominated by worsening conflict in the mineral-rich East. DR Congo is roughly 4 times the size of France but lacks basic infrastructure. Even some of its main cities are not linked by road. About 2/3 of the country's 100 million population live below the poverty line, earning $2.15 a day or less. A major peace conference has drawn attention to a prevailing tendency where women continue to experience challenges while seeking inclusion in peace initiatives, unlike their male counterparts. Despite compelling evidence indicating women's participation accelerates peace building and security initiatives, the meeting was told women are still predominantly excluded from all important processes. It is against this backdrop that the Office of the African Union Envoy on Women, Peace and Security, Benita Diop, recently convened the 4th High-Level African Forum on Women, Peace and Security in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Speaking during the forum, Diop maintained that women play an immeasurable role in preventing or de-escalating conflict, brokering local ceasefires, promoting cultures of peace and coexistence, and preventing recruitment of children as combatants. She said there is a need to have more women participating in peace processes. And Iran hang a woman convicted of murdering her husband, whom she married while still a child, a human rights group said, defying an international campaign for clemency. Samira Sabzian, who had been in prison for the past decade, was executed at dawn in Ghazel Hasser prison in the Tehran satellite city of Karaj. It is said that she was a child bride who had married her husband at the age of 15 and had been a victim of domestic violence, according to relatives. She was arrested 10 years ago when she was aged 19 on charges of murdering her husband and then subsequently sentenced to death. She had 2 children whom she had not seen after her arrest until a final meeting in prison earlier this month. Rights groups have raised alarm over a surge in executions in Iran this year, with at least 115 people put to death in November alone, according to Amnesty International. Amnesty had urged Iran not to carry out the execution, saying the authorities were implementing a horrific state-sanctioned killing spree. This is News. I'm Dennis Asato. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, so this morning, traffic has not been an issue. At a few minutes after 9 o'clock now, we're looking at just a little bit left on the thicker superhighway as you're coming in heavy around Pangani at the underpass. Haile Selassie still continues to be that headache, folks, today. And it's not just today. From what we see, it's going to go in through towards the rest of the morning. So it still continues packing up quite some. As you're down touching on Uhuru Highway, coming in from Gong Road, that's busy. Let's see what happens at the end of traffic hour, but it looks like it will be something quite for most parts of the morning. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X. Let's see how we can keep things moving. Just try to avoid the area. If you're getting into the CBD, avoid Haile Selassie, at least for now. All right, let's talk later. SpiceFM KE on X.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
So we said if you listen to Edward Quach this afternoon on the Spice Drive, you stand a chance to win something. An opportunity to win a shopping voucher courtesy of Naivas Kikwetu Fiesta. Na hizi sio stories za jaba, and hizi ni proper stories. Because Christmas is like no other, where Naivas Krisi, all thanks to Naivas Kikwetu Fiesta, we go to Katika to 100% real deals at the 101 Naivas kilocalls. Na sio stories za jaba, watu wa Ingo, this year you'll not miss out. Winga Kamega, kilocall number 101. Number?
101.
101. Festive season is here. So listen to Edward Koch this afternoon, chance to win with Naivas Kikwetu Fiesta. Go and shop at Naivas. And especially if this weekend you go to Naivas Greenspan Mall, what's going to happen?
You will then be able to find out how you can get involved in the free dental checks happening courtesy of Colgate. Our friends at Vibes Radio will be on ground 23rd and 24th of December at Greenspan Mall. 30th and 31st of December at Naivas Buruburu. So you go check, make sure that your smile is up to scratch, and then enjoy the festivities. Yes?
Yes. Thanks to
Colgate.
Colgate. And they tell you go to Naivas. When you're in there, Naivas, also shop and buy kiwi.
When you buy kiwi, so many things happen. You buy kiwi, you see the starburst, you dial *459*5#. You pop the lid under there's a code, you insert it as you're dialing. Yes. Then you win airtime. You win data. You also get into the draw, which allows you 35,000 shillings school fees. 4 people every week.
Okona airtime or data immediately. Use that data to hail a taxi back home.
Yes, you can.
Oronaje story.
Mazi hiyo story fiti za. Na hiyo
story za jaba.
Ni mara ngapi taxi?
Mara moja taxi. Just like that. Yes. Mara moja taxi is available in Nairobi. It's available in Mombasa, in Nakuru, in Naivasha, in Kisumu. Where else?
Yeah.
Nairobi.
Tumesoma Nairobi.
Okay.
Tumesoma Eldoret. Eldoret, Nairobi, Mombasa, Nakuru, Eldoret, Kisumu, Naivasha. All those 2 places.
There are many places.
Oh, yes. More than 8,000 vehicles that are on the Maramoja Taxi app. And City, if you load any amount of money into the Maramoja wallet, you get 50% bonus immediately, which you can use. Now you got a free airtime there. Then you loaded some money. You have free bonus. You use the free bonus, use the free air data to call the Maramoja taxi. Then when you're going to pay, use the bonus to pay.
Yeah.
See, now you have excess now for shopping.
Money in your wallet to shop.
Ongeza mbuzi.
Mzima.
Yes. Like that.
Mara what?
Maramoja.
One time.
Yes. Remind us today's proverb, City.
Yes, today's proverb. Proverb. Yes, from the country of Kenya.
Yes.
Makali ya jicho yashinda wembe.
Makali ya jicho yashinda wembe. What made you pick this proverb today?
I was just thinking of what it is that the eye can do beyond seeing.
Yes.
Just the communication network that is embedded in the eye. What it can communicate without one single syllable being uttered. And how significant it is. And you see, this is when you are now talking about recrimination or a situation where somebody is being set right. But the opposite is also true. When somebody wants to transmit more pleasant emotions and sentiments towards you, the eye does
the eye does it.
Well. Or in fact, the eye does the trick more than any.
The eyes have it.
The eye, see. The eye definitely have it. Just that one look.
Yeah.
It can be a good or bad thing.
Yes. No, the good one is the one I'm now.
Alafu hiyo nyingine
na umwangalie kwa macho na umwambie commit a sin and I'll be your defender. Overpower me so that I surrender. Hata Nameless alijua mwangalie ndani ya macho.
Windows to the soul.
Yes, window to the soul.
Kabisa. Now, the current lingo in Kenya is bombastic side eye. Someone gives you that bombastic side eye, Kimeumana.
Where you got done for?
Kimeumana. For example, Anne Waigoro, the chair of the Council of Governors, is giving the bombastic side eye to the Auditor General.
Nancy
Gadongo. Nancy is coming there saying that there are some counties that did not use even a single shilling in the the first quarter on development. She's like, what do you mean? Well, the Council of Governors did not deny the fact that the 10 county bosses only prioritized spending of billions of shillings that they received on salaries and settling other recurrent expenditure. It shifted the blame to other factors. The COG, in a statement yesterday, raised 4 issues that caused the counties not to spend money on development activities. County governments, in good financial practice and the Control of Budgets Advisory, pay off pending bills before funds are released to counties for development expenditure. A majority of these pending bills are on development. The statement by the COG chairperson, Anne Waigoro, indicated. So she's saying, look, if I have paid pending bills and the pending bills are on development, have I not spent on development? Akili mtu wangu.
What wanna develop juu nimelipa? What again are you looking?
There was a development project. I had brought a contractor. Money has come. I have paid that contractor. That was a pending bill. Have I not paid for development?
When you say I have not spent any money on development, surely, what does development mean to you?
Una control nini?
Actually, you know, this thing about development, I don't know why it's becoming a philosophical issue. You know, development isn't philosophical. It's real. Okay? That's why, so kuna ile kitu inaitwa CIDP. Yes. These things are tangible. Okay? They are not, as you say, stories are jabba. So if you did it, it's a looking thing, isn't it?
Yes, we can see.
In fact, I was being told about this Kenyan expression that seems to have done the thing. You know how we're talking about at least?
Yeah. We have a new at least.
We have a new at least.
Yes. Imagine.
Imagine. That's a conclusion of a sentence.
Yes. Imagine.
Yeah, you just stay with it. And you ask a very big question. Somebody will now
Kirinyaga is taking on
Nancy Gathongo.
Yes, imagine.
You didn't spend even 0 shillings on development. Imagine.
Look, money has come. There were pending bills. The Control of Budget advised that, you know what, please start clearing pending bills. I have cleared pending bills. Then she says, I have not spent on development. Imagine.
And then it's followed by an expression and posture.
Imagine. Waigoro goes on to say, Parliament has delayed enacting the county government's additional allocations bill, which constrains the disbursement of conditional grants to counties, limiting their ability to spend on development. It's important to note that most of the ongoing projects are funded by grants. This is, however, not what the respective budgets of the counties reflect, because the amount of the 10 counties planned to fund their development budgets using conditional grants during the year ending June 2024 is below half for all the counties. It implies the majority of the funds that the counties require to implement development projects will be from their sources and not from conditional grants. This is now the Nation story, rebutting what the chair of the COG is saying. The governors have come out to say, look, there's a reason. There's a reason why a lot of the money that has come, all the money that has come to us, to these 10 counties in this first quarter, did not go into a direct development project as is stipulated in the budget. Number one, some of these our budget had a development project that was to be financed through grant. Okay? Those guys in Parliament have not passed a law that now shows me how I can access the grant money and use it. So I have not used grant money for development. That means I have not done development. Okay? Then the other one is I was supposed to start a new project this time. But there was a previous project that had been started, development project, which had not been paid for. Hence, pending bill. Control of Budget has told me, clear those pending bills first. Okay? Now, I'm clearing those pending bills first, which were used for development. Now, it's a cycle.
Surely. Is 1 plus 1 not equal to 2 anymore?
Just to say like Charles Singer, nyinyi mwelewi mambo. Nyinyi mwelewi mambo.
So, the question is it she, Nancy Kadongo, had complained previously that she was not privy to certain things to be able to then see what happened. Perhaps, if this explanation were to be made to the officers of the Auditor General in this manner, perhaps she would understand.
Yeah.
And she also would be able to imagine.
If she just applied herself to her job, all right, and asked just one question beyond what she had asked, just one.
Explain to me why.
She'd have just asked herself, but why could this be the case? She'd have seen why it's not the case. Now, the problem is, because she's not asking herself, not applying herself, she misses the point.
Imagine.
And now it's forcing us to come and explain the obvious. It's not that the sun did not rise today, but it was a cloudy morning.
All you needed to ask was, why?
Yeah. Is it that the sun did not rise today?
Or were there other mitigating factors as to why you did not experience it? Not that it did not happen.
You did not see the rays of the sun directly.
There's something else. Now, we're not just sitting here in a vacuum as governors. We are working on a regular basis as executives of the county. How do you're making it seem to the entire country as though we are not doing our job? And all you needed to do was to ask us why this did not happen in this manner. I mean, for goodness sake, how is it that you go across Kericho, Nairobi, Homa Bay, Machakos, Samburu, Mandera? Those are the counties we're talking about here. And then you tell us that development, we did not spend any money. Come on.
However,
and pending bills are being paid in these very counties. It's not fair. It's not right.
The 10 counties that did not spend anything during the last quarter on development are Nairobi, Homa Bay, Embu, Kericho, Kilifi, Machakos, Turkana, Samburu, Wajir, and West Pokot. Out of these, Embu with 314.9 million shillings, Kericho 4.2 million, Machakos 133 million, and Samburu 34 million were the only counties that settled part of their pending bills.
You see?
Okay? Those ones settled part of their pending bills. People like Nairobi, it's not pending bills as their excuse.
What's the...
Because they didn't even pay pending. Well, now we want to find out. Okay?
We want to find out. Okay.
At the beginning of the financial year, the county reported a stock of pending bills amounting 107 billion shillings. The county treasury did not provide a report on the status of pending bills as of September 30th, 2023. The COB reported on Nairobi. Okay? So it's not that there's no indication that Sakaja Arthur Johnson's government has actually gone towards clearing this 107.33 billion shillings pending bill. So the control of budget, the Auditor General cannot say that, you paid pending bills. The COB also added that despite Homa Bay County having this pending bills amounting 1 billion shillings by the start of July, the county executive, as well as the county assembly, did not settle any pending bills during that period. Homa Bay, the excuse that you're paying pending bills does not apply. The story continues to tell us about the grants. The majority of the funds the counties require to implement development projects will be from other sources and not from conditional grants. Nairobi County, for instance, plans to use conditional grants to fund only 4.3% of its 14 billion shillings development budget, with the rest coming from other sources. In terms of proportion of conditional grants to full development budgets of the counties, all the other 9 counties planned to use the conditional grants to fund less than their development budget by 15% for West Pokot, 18% for Kericho, Machakos 21%, Homa Bay 24%, Kilifi 31%, Samburu 32%, Wajir 34%, and Embu 42%. If the 10 counties planned to use the majority of funds from other sources to fund development, it's not clear why they cite the delay of the release of conditional grants as an excuse. So, mambo ya nini tumetoa, remove it. Pending bills, side. Conditional grants, not washing. Now, I don't know what's going to wash. The COB observed that counties were being affected in the implementation of their budgets due to parliamentary delay in approving the county government's additional allocation bill. All 47 counties were allocated 42 billion shillings as additional allocations for conditional grants in the current financial year. Further delays by Parliament to enact this bill will adversely affect budget implementation. The Office of the Controller of Budget therefore advises Parliament to expedite the enactment of the County Government Additional Allocation Bill to enable county governments to access these conditional grants to implement their budgets. That's according to COB. Dr. Margaret who? Nyakango.
I have a question.
Ask.
What is the preset, or is there I believe, preset in terms of expenditure at the county level, and there's a certain percentage that is actually supposed to go towards development, n'est-ce pas?
Yes.
What is that percentage?
You should
And
not spend more than
defined?
70% on recurrent.
Okay, so 30%, give or take.
Yep.
would
At
then
least
would
30%
go
of your
toward-
budget should go
towards
to development. Yes.
And then development falls into that bracket, rather. Things that fall into development are what? Building of ECD school.
Yep.
Vitu kama hizo.
Yes.
Okay.
Building schools.
So like now,
hospital.
Building billboards.
Arthur Johnson Sakaja, his feeding program would not fall into development?
I don't know.
It could. No, it could. It
Sips
could.
tea.
Sips tea. It could it not?
It could.
I'm helping them, please.
It could, but there's something I don't understand. If can I just
building the kitchens?
Sindio.
Yeah, but
feeding the children.
Actually, that's where I was going. The building of the kitchens.
Yeah.
Do you want? It's a question that is always asked. Huh? Do you want to provide food or do you want to build kitchens? The question I ask is because if a kitchen already exists, whose capacity only requires a little expansion and is doing the same thing, what stops you from increasing the capacity so that these schools we speak of, which are in the same county, actually have the same quality of food? So you don't have to build yet another kitchen.
An example of an existing kitchen?
KJ's constituency.
Yes.
He has a kitchen.
Yes, he does.
And that kitchen supplies and helps even our good friend.
So the kitchen in Dagoretti South is serving Dagoretti North, is serving Kikuyu constituency.
Yes, it is.
Kikuyu is in Kiambu, but
yes, it does.
Let's just say it's supporting that side.
Yes, it does.
The schools on this other side, they've set up now that kitchen in Eastlands to serve the schools on the east side of Nairobi.
I do not have a problem with what you've just said.
The KG one was built.
It was built. What I'm saying is, let's take the example of an airport. Okay? You increase runways. You don't really need to build a new airport. Okay? That's called expanding capacity.
Yeah. And terminals.
Yes. If somebody already has a mechanism that produces what you have, I'm simply saying for purposes of swift delivery or ensuring that it actually gets done.
Yes.
If the building of the kitchen is delaying the provision of the food, and the building of the kitchen also will involve very many other logistical matters which also are an expense. My question is it a necessary expense? That's really what I'm asking.
The building.
The question,
yes,
to expand the question, is the existing kitchen, does it have the capacity to serve the meals that are required? Okay? Now, if you find that the existing kitchen may not have the capacity to serve the extra numbers, then you have to think about how do we serve the extra numbers. Okay? Number two, the logistics of the location of the existing kitchen plus the last mile connectivity to the child who is receiving the meal at a certain time, because lunch hour is set by the Ministry of Education. Lunch hour is lunch hour. So if you don't have those ones in place, what do you do? So you've got to now map out and say, all right, so for this one, we have to expand this capacity here. It can sort out this. And this can expand, it sorts out this. Otherwise, you'd be saying, see, schools have kajiko hapo hivyo. Shini kuongezea tu kuni wao kula chakula. But then now that affects.
Eric, your point is an extremely valid one. And it's valid because when data that is deduced from what you've just said is then presented, it is clear why the second kitchen is needed, or even the third kitchen is needed. You see, we were talking about expenditure, development, recurrent. Now, there are certain things which are low-hanging fruit. There are people who are already in that business of catering. They know. They understand. We spoke to one such gentleman here. If you look at some of the eateries we have in this town, people assume that the food you eat is actually cooked in that kitchen. Not really. It's just finished, meaning warmed. They do that little machine that goes zzz, and then things become warm. It's called again?
Microwave.
Okay, that one. Yes.
See the things that do it?
It goes
okay. Count with two of you.
So I'm simply saying that we understand what the wheel does. It exists. We have the vehicle. Time, tested, tried. So using this as an example, when counties are given money and they themselves have plans for development, they have plans for recurrent expenditure. Yes, what the chairman of the CUB has said notwithstanding, why then have they not followed their own plans? Because I'm sure if you look at their plans, they have development plans. So why do we need to be explaining something that they themselves are the ones who set in motion?
The debate here is the justification on why some of these counties have actually not spent a shilling going into development. Out of the money that you've received so far, have you put a shilling into development, or is it all going into recurrent? And if it does that, then if you don't start a development project in quarter one, you get into quarter two, you have not started a development project, yet it's in your plan. When would you start?
Yes, when are you going to complete it?
When are you going to complete it?
Yes.
Right? So that's when a project now runs over into the next financial year and budget starts becoming hazy.
Because it's not one development plan.
It's not.
And according to the plans, there's a development for this year, then the following year and so forth. So they're going to more or less cross over and they're going to start meshing. So what's going to be prioritized when what was supposed to have been done hasn't been done, and it has caught up with something which needs to be started, and that also isn't quite done. And then you have three competing interests. So all of a sudden, and funds were allocated for this. Because from what I hear, it's like saying the development plan was there, yes, but the actual development projects were not that urgent. Then why do you have them in your plan?
Why did you have them in the first place?
Yes.
Let's take a break. It's 9:30. Kenya's biggest conversation. We're talking about, some of the big things that are happening in the country now. That one was in the control of budget, the Auditor General report, and a response from the Council of Governors. This weekend at Naivas Greenspan Mall, our guys who are at Vibes Radio will be playing one song. Do you see anything to smile about? And they'll be asking you, do you see anything to smile about?
Then smile.
Yeah, then smile.
And as you're smiling, Colgate wants to be making sure that your smile is intact. Come down to Greenspan Mall on the 23rd and 24th of December. That's Saturday and Sunday.
Yes.
Greenspan Mall in Donholm. And then on the 30th and 31st of December, Buruburu, Naivas, come and make sure that your smile is on point so that you can be smiling to that song that Eric talked about. Colgate is going to be in the house. And of course, our friends at Vibes Radio will be there as you come in and get that smile checked out, making sure you're smiling through the holidays.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Is safety your top priority when traveling in a taxi? Look no further. Introducing the Maramoja Taxi app, the safest and most convenient way to get around town. Whether you're headed to work, a night out, or just running errands, Maramoja Taxi app has you covered. With Maramoja Taxi app, every time you top up your wallet, you get 50% more. What are you waiting for? Download the Maramoja Taxi app and use the code SPICE30 to get 30% discount on your next ride. Ride smart with Maramoja Taxi app. Maramoja ni yetu. Step up and shine. It's that time of the year to win big with Kiwi. Stand a chance to win school fees worth 35,000 Kenya shillings weekly and instant airtime or data. Here is what you simply need to do. Visit your nearest store, buy any participating Kiwi tin with a fabulous new design nationwide. Dial star 459 star 5 hash, enter the unique code you'll find under the lid, and you could be the next winner. Kiwi, your trusted partner to protect, shine, and waterproof your shoes. Terms and conditions apply.
Oh, finally! It's my Standard Courier delivery.
At Standard Courier, we know that your time is valuable. That's why we guarantee swift and efficient deliveries to your doorstep every time. Give us a call on 0793 599 684 or schedule your next delivery by visiting our website www.standardmedia.co.ke/courier. Trust Standard Courier service for all your courier needs.
Sunny conditions in Nairobi. We'll see highs of 25. We'll see highs of 27 in a sunny Nakuru at 21. And it's 20 and sunny in Nyeri with highs of 25. Eldoret, we'll see highs of 25, where we're looking at a sunny and windy day at 18. In Mombasa, mostly sunny at 30, and Malindi is sunny at 31. Looking at sunny conditions at 26 in Kisumu, and at 24, Kakamega is sunny going to highs of 30. Kampala is sunny at 23, highs of 30, and we'll see highs of 32 in a sunny Dar es Salaam at 29. Johannesburg sunny at 25, going to highs of 31, while Mogadishu will see highs of 33, and Addis Ababa will see highs of 24. The haze continues over Lagos skies at 23 with highs of 33, and Kinshasa is cloudy at 24, going to highs of 29. It's -5 and sunny in Beijing, highs of -5 and lows of -15. 11 and mostly cloudy in Paris, and 12 and cloudy in London. It is 3 degrees Wednesday night in New York, coming into Thursday, highs of 6 and lows of -3.
Chilled Spice.
Okay, so still looking at sticky situation on Haile Selassie. Shouldn't be too crazy for you after traffic hour, but it's still, clogging up at some parts, and it's already leaking over to or past Haile Selassie, touching on Gong Road, and also Uhuru Highway is affected because of this. Keeping an eye on things through the morning, and you can talk to us on SpiceFM KE on X.
Some very nice, mature music.
They really took me back to my days, and I can just feel get and enjoy the vibes.
Spice.
I'm a big listener of Spice FM.
You play the best music.
This is 94.4 Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings.
Ndu, there's a headline that you read for us yesterday, and then again it's in the papers today.
I know
page 4 of the Standard.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Allow me to tell you,
please,
in some detail. Uhuru Kenyatta, former president of Kenya. Now, he has renewed his political engagements, and he's going around the central region, eliciting various reactions. Now this has elicited various reactions as to what exactly is going on. While some of President William Ruto's foot soldiers have dared the former president to a political duel. Bring it, and you bring it. We take 50 paces, turn around and shoot. They have said others believe unkept promises have created a trust deficit with the electorate, and fear that if Uhuru sparks an anti-governmental movement, their careers may be at stake in 2027. All that been deduced because he did what? Had a few meetings here and there with people who said things, The Tanga Tanga movement had birthed a crop of leaders who are products of the yellow wave in Mount Kenya. They successfully sold the hustler narrative to the masses, promising that the government would belong to Mama Mboga and border riders. Members of parliament who believe the government has let down hustlers have been praying that Uhuru's allies who lost their seats will stop church meetings and civic education to the people. Now, according to one member of parliament, we hope for two things. Either things get better so that the anti-government movements do not end up disrupting our term in 2027, or that Uhuru's allies lack the zeal to sustain their meetings. As things stand, we cannot face our constituents. Do you understand? Okay. Now, Githunguri MP Gathoni Wamshomba, who was elected on the UDA party ticket, said it's high time the government was reminded to honour its promises to the people, adding that Parliament has been compromised and abandoned its oversight role. For the first time in Kenya's history, our fathers are celebrating Christmas without their coffee dues. We have been promised 80 shillings per kilo, but that has not materialised. Any effort by the leaders to defend the rights of the people are welcome, and it will have casualties.
Why?
So they're still in a way, hoping that there will be a lifeline from the would-be former president Uhuru Kenyatta's now moves towards having conversations with people. You also remember that one Sabina Shege, who was here, said, when we went to State House, we were not going to align with the KK government. What we were going to do was to request that they leave our businessmen alone, that they don't sack those who had already been given positions in government. Don't get rid of them, so that as a central movement, you can still have people in government, you can still have people who are verified in business. So it seems to still be the clarion call. Leave us alone. Leave us alone. Now, Uhuru has been going around. These people, what were their names? Kamwene.
Yes.
And seems to have endorsed movements like that, where he's coming and telling people, you know what, we need to come together. And this thing that the government is doing is going to be a downfall of not protecting you when it comes to overtaxing and things like that. So we're giving you an option to look at. Now, the question has been, is what Uhuru Kenyatta is doing at the moment, can it not be likened to what he himself accused now President William Ruto of doing in the second term of their presidency? It was a word, hopping about
the country. I think the difference here is at the time when Uhuru was president and Ruto was his deputy, they appeared to be working at cross purposes.
Yes.
Here we are, me, I'm talking development, you're tangatangaing, and it's not clear what you're doing. In this particular one, they're not together. Ruto is running government. Uhuru is the leader of opposition. He is tangatangaing, championing opposition issues, poking holes into government policies that are making people suffer immensely under the yoke, the choking yoke of Ruto's plans, and so on and so forth. And so he's galvanizing people and telling them, si niliwaambia, si nilikuwa nimewaona, sasa ona. Sasa ona. And basically saying, what you're feeling now, it's because of the failures of this government. If we had gone on with what I was doing, you'd not be suffering.
If you had listened to me. But so now let me see if we can gather up our mouths from the ground, essentially, is what he's saying. And let me see. Look, because that's what it is. You're not going to get somebody who's just going to come out of retirement and start talking because they don't feel as though there was something they could offer politically. So he's saying, okay, let me see if I can gather all of you.
If I can show you.
And show you maybe a little bit of something in terms of what we ought to do in the coming days, weeks. And what is it doing? It's giving a bit of a lifeline to people and say, okay, perhaps there is still a way. The question then remains, those who are looking at him and saying, who?
Who sent you?
Who sent you? Is the question. From the likes of people like Kimani Ichung'wah, who is the member of parliament of Kikuyu, he destroyed our economy. And the nation the nation rather through state capture. He now fears that others may and will succeed where he failed, and that is the height of pettiness.
Ngojiri Wambogo, the former Nyeri town MP, who is a former ally of Uhuru and now seems to be in the not Tanga, but the Kenya Kwanza side. He says, I even wonder why people keep saying Uhuru needs to come back to politics. To do what? His term expired. And he cannot help the opposition since he was the president who failed.
It's gone there.
Yeah. He's saying if Uhuru does not exit from politics, he'd lead a team of former elected Jubilee leaders to expose him to the public and how he betrayed them.
That's Ngujiri.
That's Ngujiri Wambogo.
All right.
Saying, sasa, why? But what is the end game? What do you think is the end game for Uhuru? Why would he be so invested in this?
I think one of two things.
What?
Right? One thing is when you've been in power, in the manner in which you have been, I mean, you got into the top seat in the nation. It is, and then after your term has ended, you still have people who pay a certain homage to you. It is extremely difficult. People who study behavior will tell us it is extremely difficult to just leave it and say, it's over, done, let's go do other things. And then people are still somehow calling on you
the people are still coming to you.
Coming to you. It's very difficult for you to just leave and say, I'm not going to do it. Some did and finished, others cannot. And that's why you still see that people still want to come in. So that could be the thing whereby, okay, I could still do something. The other side could be that maybe genuinely he actually feels that the people of this region were dealt a heavy blow and they need somebody to, gather their wits and form it into something that would then be a force to be reckoned with. So those things, it could be purely selfish, or it then could be a combination of, yes, selfishness, but really a genuine desire for the people, to be gathered together and form something.
And so, what tools does he use? What tools does he use in this? Let's give him all the benefit of the doubt right now and say he genuinely feels concerned that this region is being exposed and is being left rudderless. And he feels, as the leader of this region, having led you and having bestowed upon me the honor of leading you, I feel that this time the direction that we've taken is going to be a bad direction. So here I am. I'm coming to show you this is the direction to go. Should he start by asking the people, why didn't you listen to me?
If he had not said anything to
should he come and say, I see why you didn't listen to me. You didn't listen to me because you were lied to by this person. This person came and lied to you that I'm a bad guy. And now you can see he's no better. Not saying that I am not bad.
I get it. Sure. Should he or how he should have done it then becomes a question for debate. Because you must understand that I think that he's still nursing a hangover, take that as you may, from this past election, whereby he really did believe things were going to go a certain way. He opened his mouth and said, he did. What did he say? My president is?
Raila Odinga.
He did. He said it. And he felt that things were going to go a certain way. He opened his mouth on several occasions and told people who are calling to him today, people who said they've sent him messages he didn't answer, people who said they called him, he didn't pick his phone. These are the same people that he said, look guys, let's go in a certain direction. So because of that baggage that he still holds, I don't see it as something out of the ordinary for him to say, but guys, in as much, people who you go to for help, sometimes you go to somebody for help, right? It may be somebody who maybe has given you some advice before. Usually, what's the first thing they tell you? Okay, look, Eric, I really wish you were not here. But actually, when we spoke before, I actually did tell you about the direction to go to. That notwithstanding, let me offer you this assistance.
There's still a chance to redeem yourself.
Let me see what I can do. Because look, we can't run away from the fact that there is still remnants of power that this man wields. There are. There are people still who still revere him as a leader in this region. For his name to come up, it's not just some guy name an MP. It's not just some guy in central Kenya who's coming out and having these meetings. Because truth is, if he stands at a podium and pulls a microphone, people will come. So there's something that he wields in the region, right? So for him to now say that, he has to get it out because he did. He did say whether the reason why things are going the way they went is because people didn't do what he said. That's another argument.
It's a whole
totally different kettle
story.
of fish. But here he's just saying, look, but I told you guys. But now let me liken it to, for you not to do it again, like a cat. When a cat is being house trained, usually they'll say, put its nose in the mess that it made, and that smell will remain in its mind. It won't do it there again. It'll find a place somewhere, but you have to put its face in it first. So is that not what he's doing? Telling you people where you went wrong, then he'll say, okay, but you know what, let's see what we can do to fix this thing. That's what he's offering.
The people who would be going to Uhuru right now, and even Uhuru himself, do they ask themselves genuinely why the region why the ground shifted.
I don't know if they asked
And
themselves.
if they asked themselves why the ground shifted, because the ground did shift. It was a phenomenal shift. If the ground shifted, did it shift simply because somebody, a conman, came and sold snake oil to them?
No.
And they bought it? Or did it... why were they buying this snake oil?
It appealed to them.
Why? Because they lacked something.
They lacked something that had not been given to them for a very long time.
Okay.
And it was delivered in a manner that they really felt that would be something tangible for them at that moment. And so they went with it. They did. You asked the question, if I remember how you crafted it, you said, why are the people feeling, are they generally concerned about what was happening in the region? Or I think it's about themselves. The people who are listening to Uhuru Kenyatta today, it's not anybody in Kiambu or Kikuyu, it's not. It is the leaders who lost positions.
Who are angling for 2027.
Exactly. Or those whose expediency is under threat, who are now saying, hold on a minute.
You're trying to protect the turf.
Absolutely.
And so why would Uhuru, with all his knowledge and wisdom and experience in politics, why would he join in?
Is he joining in or is he leading them?
Why is he leading them? Why is he participating in this?
There's something for him to gain, no?
What's that?
Well, you still have a position of leadership is a very sweet thing.
Okay.
You are the one who essentially corralled people back where they could start to believe that there is something for them to grab onto in the next election cycle. You want to earn the stripes for that? It's a very sweet thing to have, isn't it? To breathe life back where people were feeling as though this whole thing is dead for them. What are they going to do? How are they going to get back into the swing of things? Our party, can we bring it back to life? And then you be the one to shepherd this whole process?
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
You know, I'm seeing what Wairimu is saying. Wairimu is saying she completely disagrees with us here. If we read our constitution, there's nothing wrong with a private citizen in the name of Uhuru Kenyatta exercising his civil rights.
I don't think there's anything wrong. Actually, Wairimu were saying the same thing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with him doing what he's doing.
However, Uhuru is not.
But he is not.
Uhuru is not just an ordinary citizen. Uhuru, today, he woke up, he had breakfast, we've paid for it. Okay?
Because we'll pay for it forever.
Oh, yes. Uhuru, if he fell sick today, would pay for him. Uhuru is not just an ordinary citizen. He is the former president of the Republic of Kenya. He's a retired president. We must maintain him throughout. Okay? Now, does he have political power? He wields immense political power. So Uhuru can't just... Uhuru is not a private citizen. He will never be until he dies. That ended in March 2013.
When he won the election.
Yes, that ended. He is not a private citizen. He is a property of the people of the Republic of Kenya. Now, is there an impact in him doing this? He could do it.
Great impact.
Huge impact.
Huge. And that's what I was saying. You see what you're saying? He knows this too.
Yep.
That if you were to stand up in the middle of Nairobi today and say people come, people would come.
There would be many.
By virtue of the fact that he still wields that power. And is it not interesting enough that the people, the leaders, I'm going to say the leaders, who lost out in this massive wave of turn when it came to the election, still seem, whether palatable or not, to look towards him. Even the bitter words said here by Kimani Ichung'wah and former Nyeri MP, who said, why should he be the... They also realize the power that he wields.
Yep.
If he didn't have power, those words would not come out in the way in which they did.
Yep.
He's upsetting the apple cart.
Of course, he is. And
To
there's
what
a
end?
likelihood that people will actually go with his movement, whatever it may be.
Why do politicians do the things they do? Remember, one of the things that Uhuru endured, I would say remarkably and admirably, were insults, disregard. Some people went so far as even including members of his family. Didn't hit back, let it slide. But does it really ever slide? When everything, you see, those who speak about the things he didn't do, never bother to talk about the things he did, which were right. And From what I have observed, this being president is not an easy thing.
It's
That one I've concluded. There's nothing easy about it. Doesn't matter what you do.
Yep.
What you thought you'd do and what then you realize has to be done or needs to be done when you get there, very different. So from his perspective, chances are he looks and says, don't these people see the number of things I did? 1, 2. Certain individuals. But if it wasn't for me, this particular individual would have...
You are who you are because of...
Yes. I mean, what is this?
I made you.
But we see this all the time in our politics. Now, don't you think a time comes when someone feels, there's some wrongs, particularly wrongs that were directed at me personally, I need to right them. Because this entry is timed. We are doing not too good as a country at the moment.
And what better opportunity for you to take than when the person who may have gotten one over you is not doing so well?
Exactly. And also the memories of what the immediate former president may have done, which at the point and at the time we found unpalatable, they have dimmed somewhat.
Yeah.
If you talk about it, it's historical. What is at the forefront of our mind is what's happening now.
Yes.
So a little salt in the wound, appropriately applied.
And mind you, that's what I decided to call the hangover syndrome, because one would argue that the very same thing that he said was going to happen, one could argue, is happening right now. So he's got some kind of leverage with which to come to people and say, guys, okay, Sawa, I can help. But please, remember what I said.
But that's why I come in and ask, to what degree of honesty does Uhuru Kenyatta have in this conversation? And by that, forget about what the Kenya Kwanza guys have been saying. Oh, it's because you inherited an empty coffer. Okay, the reality of what we have now is that Uhuru Kenyatta was president of this country for the last 9 years until September last year, just a short 14 months ago. What we're experiencing today, this vehicle that's hurtling towards the cliff because it lacks brakes, right? The driver who just jumped off the vehicle just a couple of
as it was heading in the
kilometers ago, right? Had he serviced this car very well? Why are these brakes failing? Are the brakes failing because they are old? Are the brakes failing because of lack of service? Are the brakes failing? If you would stand up and say, you know what, I had just taken this car in for service, I had changed brakes, I had put brake pads, I put brake fluid, I had made sure that the suspension is all working, all the shocks are working, all the bushes are working, and this driver is incompetent, cannot tell between turning left this way and turning right this way, can't tell. This is the problem you are facing. But just coming to say, this guy can't drive a car.
Can't drive anything.
What condition did you hand over that car in? Could it have contributed to what we are witnessing now? Did you know that, hii gari imepita service by 10,000 kilometers?
Lakini tunaambia gari iko sawa.
Wechukua gari.
The thing is this, the analogy you've just given actually gets to the heart of the matter, because this government did inherit something. They didn't start this government, they inherited it. And the question then, what did they actually inherit? And when they talk about inheriting empty coppers, I expect them to inherit an empty copper. The government is not a bank. It gets money, it spends. It gets money, it spends. That's what it does.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what it does. But what exactly did they inherit? Because remember, the Uhuru government was visited and was home to some fairly shifty scandals.
Why lie?
Yes, they were. And many were not spoken of, some were whispered about. But remember, the concept of state capture emanated during the era of that Uhuru period. That's when. And the noise around state capture, one doesn't hear it now. But it was rife then, and it reached fever pitch. And with good reason too. So yes, if you're talking about the contribution, one does not look too far. You can find evidence that indeed, yes, a lot of what happened in that previous government, yes.
That's why I ask, as you're going around the country and you're castigating the government, are you saying does Uhuru sit back and say, okay, yes, I made this and this decisions, I rate myself 50%, 60%, 80%. There are some good things that I did, yes, and then there are some mistakes that I may have made, and because of those mistakes, some of what you're seeing now could be as a result of the mistakes. However, I had also left very many positives. They could have used the positives to ride on the mistakes. Have that conversation. You can't just be appearing like you're just an angel and you come in, sit there, and you really.
Well, that is what politicians do. Remember, the thing that our politicians do, the concept of amnesia is personified in politicians. Selective, that is. They will forget what they want to forget, and they'll remember what they want to remember. And what they tend to forget is the harm that they have done. That they forget. And the quicker, the sooner, the better. But as for a genuine apology, stating what it is you did wrong in details, and giving it to us in 3D and in color.
That's gonna be tough.
No, they just gloss over it. If I did you wrong, please forgive me. That one, that one has covered everything. I know I made some mistakes, but it is also human to make mistakes. Please forgive me, get stuck somewhere around here.
It's a very, very difficult thing to say. What?
It's a tough one.
Yes, it is a tough one.
It's a tough one.
Yes.
And also, just the same way we don't see Ruto admitting to any of the responsibility for the mistakes that were made in the last 9 years.
No.
He was the deputy president.
Yes.
Let's even say handshake, okay, the last 5 years. The first 5 years, when this Eurobond that he's talking about,
when everything was set in motion,
was being set in motion, he should be telling us where the Eurobond money went.
Yes.
If all of us are asking where did the 2 billion shilling go,
$2 billion.
Should be the first, $2 billion. Ruto should be the first one to tell, by the way, that money that we are repaying, we used it very well. Msiulize swali, hata ndio hii receipt.
And remember, the Arorki Mwadar issue, which seemed to have been concluded recently, happened under his watch.
It started, the plans started then, they were executed in the second term, but these politicians wanatubeba malenge, pumpkin. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation today. As we said, tomorrow will be our last day live for the year. And tomorrow we'll be asking you, please tell us what conversation you'd like to hear again. Because from Monday, we will be replaying some of the conversations that you want us to replay into the new year. We'll be back on air on the 8th of January, but we'll be here tomorrow. Sunil?
Yes, we will.
And we'll open the phone lines. And also we'll open the social media handles. We'd like to hear from you what you think of our conversations this year. Good morning, 10 a.m. Have a lovely Thursday.
Spice up your life